After over a year of anticipation, after, of course, long deliberation, iRacing and IndyCar have returned to a partnership that give way to a live broadcast of an event you won't forget. We welcome you all live on FTN to tonight's coverage of the Velocity Online Racing League as the IR18 series takes on the Kentucky Speedway, one of the fastest intermediates in all of the U.S. Great to have you all here live on FTN for the first time with VOR. I'm David Kreutz, regular commentator on the channel, joined tonight by my, of course, co-commentator Gary Godso. We look forward to over 160 laps of racing in the middle of the United States. Qualifying is on the move with 4 minutes remaining, and right now drivers are taking to the track for the first time live on FTN, and this is the second race of the season. Still a lot of anticipation building up for each and every driver in the field. And Gary, as we look forward to tonight's racing, I'll tell you this much, we're both excited. How do you feel as we look forward to the main event?
The last calendar year has been absolutely murder, and for a lot of us has been really, really depressing. With the IP rights and everything going to motorsports games, really iRacing couldn't do anything with IndyCar. They couldn't even call it IndyCar. They couldn't even race at any of the tracks that IndyCar raced at. Of course, that includes the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is actually one of the tracks that they could have IR18 fixed races at, and they did in that time. But it was really murder. It was very, very depressing over that time, and just happy to be back. Happy that IndyCar made the right decision to partner with the right people and bring the IR18 and everything that's good with IndyCar racing back to the masses that really loved it the most, and that's right here on iRacing.
Right here on iRacing, drivers have returned. As a matter of fact, over 20 of which has registered already. And here in qualifying, looks like so far the charts are going to be topped by Liam Sullivan by just over 15 thousandths of a second. And it's still going to be times being taken as we speak. Look, it's now going to be Pedro Bell second on the board with Gary Lovern in third and Josh Christensen then in fourth. Now, I mentioned previously this is the second race of the season here in 2024 as the IR18 series gets back on the way. So I'll throw it back to you again, Gary, here as we look forward to the rest of the season. What have the fans missed before, of course, we get into the rest of the tour?
Well, provisionally, just real quick, Sullivan with the 2:15.7 is on the pole. That's the main thing everyone misses is the speed. IndyCars on a 1.5 mile intermediate track still can put up over 200 miles per hour very easily, and we're seeing that right here. The track record actually in real life, and we actually have some VOR records here that I believe you're going to show, but the track record really here in real life is set by, of all racers. Most people don't even know it's a female racer that holds the track record here. It's Sarah Fisher with a 221 mile per hour lap set back in 2002. And if you look at some of the past winners, because last race IndyCar raced here was 2011, prior to the reconfig, and we'll talk about the reconfig during the race. That was two racers, or two former Indy 500 champions, Buddy Lazier and Scott Hornish. Both won 2 races here each at Kentucky. But since 2011, this has not reappeared on the IndyCar calendar, the real IndyCar calendar. I doubt we'll ever see it again. So one of the other things that makes IndyCar exciting and iRacing exciting is the chance to see how these IR18s would do on tracks that IndyCar no longer goes to.
And it's a big point, preservation of racing. We might not ever see this combination again in the real world, but here on iRacing, it's a realistic experience, and a lot of drivers in this event, they've gotten experience with the Indy cars already today. Matter of fact, the driver who tops the charts, Julian Altena, happened to have experience previously in the day with Race Spot's Indianapolis event, the US 500, and they had a fantastic showing, a second split. Well, there was Julian, and a fourth place finish for him as the number 11 team right now is at the top of the board. Only 30 seconds left here in qualifying, so as you mentioned, Gary, we do have some statistics to run through, and we'll show them now on the bottom left of your screen. Right now, this is the third race this series has ever seen at Kentucky. Previously seen in Season 1 and Season 10, the all-time qualifying record is, in terms of timing at least, 24.249. Does not look like that was broken today. The race lap record might be in jeopardy, though, given the high speeds all throughout the track. Closest finish was just under 1 second, and we have not seen more than 3 cautions at this circuit before. Hope me to see a clean race once again. Qualifying has concluded, and now we know who will be starting where. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's get into the starting grid for tonight's event here into Kentucky. 400 kilometers. Your rows inside and out have been set for the entirety of the field, and as we mentioned previously, it will be Julian Altana in the number 11 machine, top of the board with a 24.353. That's the timing. Over 215 miles an hour all throughout the top 10 here. Fantastic driving all throughout. The speeds off the chart. It'll be Joshua Tucker then in second, and Liam O'Sullivan then in the third position. Fourth is then going to be held by Pedro Bibel and Edson Santos to round out the top five. Bruno Miranda will be then in sixth with 24.404, and it'll be Gary Lovern in seventh, Josh Christensen eighth, and Eric Macedo in the ninth position, rounding out the top 10 with a 24.463. It will be Finian Dacuna. And Gary, take it away from here.
And P11, we have Yaroslav Donskoy with a 24.4. Look, everyone here's on a 24.4. That's how close we are when it comes to these times. Sebastian Kinder, Seb Kinder there from Club France in the 97 P12 with another 24.4. Patrick Silvazzi, 24.4. Mark Murphy, one of my teammates, also knows the 24.4 and P14. Matthias Strauss, the number 8 car in 15th. Amateur, and if I butcher your name, I apologize in advance. Amateur Cesar Pivado. Well, maybe I'll just call him ACP to start. I don't know. He's in the 98 and P16. Joseph Cavalja, I've raced against him before in VOR. Great racer. He's P17th with the first and the second of the cars in the 24.5. Sergio Vicente. He's sitting there from Club Lazille in the number 3 car. That's my old number here in the league with a 24.5 in P18. Continuing on, Jonathan Diggs. He's been in the series before, P19. Mauro Ramirez, one of the Team VOR cars, in 20th. Alaric Vandenbosch, and I'll probably call him VDB because we have an old competitor here that Alex Vandesand. I used to call him VDS. So he's P21 here in the number 72. Hunter Smith in the 15th and 22nd. Jesper Orman, the guy I spotted for in the top split of the US 500 there. We did not have the greatest day, but we recovered to I believe a top 20 after getting involved in an early incident. But P23 for Jesper with no time, giving him just a little extra time to rest. So he's going to start from the rear of the field. Craig Forsyth also in that top split race there on the US 500. I believe he finished in the top 10. I don't remember exactly. There was a big record if he got involved, but he was involved in that last couple laps hustle. He is P24. And let's see, we've got in the field. Dan Inch, raced with him before, great racer, P25. Paul Irvin in 26. And Hugo Gallis, who I've called a number of times on the Indy Fix broadcast, ringing up the rear of the field in P27. And we are less than a half a lap away from getting ready to go racing.
And just like that, all the time we waited to bring this racing, high speeds with open wheel cars, back to Etienne. And it's all come to fruition here tonight. The sun is almost completely set in our session. The pace car's lights are off. And I think for every fan here on the channel, new or old, this one's going to be, of course, a race we can't forget. Julian Altana's got the, of course, best possible spot on the grid to lead the field through. The green flag will wave for the first time here in Kentucky, and we'll give you the sound uninterrupted for the first lap of this race. Your front row, 2 by 2, as they come to the start-finish line. The green flag will wave. Welcome back to IndyCars on iRacing. Welcome to Kentucky. We're underway with race 2. Just like that, first lap is concluded, and it's still going to be Altana at the top of the board with Joshua Tucker then in second. You're also going to look at Liam O'Sullivan already up top, and we're seeing multiple grooves come into play, but so far the bottom seems to be king. Oh, so early, and we're already making fast times as you see throughout the field. We're beginning to get a bit further spread out, and Gary, when it comes to Kentucky, much different track here with the open wheel cars as opposed to if we went stock car racing. So how can you break it down for the viewers who might not be too accustomed to this style of racing, who don't often see this style on an intermediate track? It's a different racing style, even though it's on the same circuit.
Yeah, it sure is. And this has been reconfigured since IndyCar's last official race here back in 2011, and reconfigured really, as I was in the pre-race show telling you, kind of the opposite of how Texas has been reconfigured. As you know, Texas decided to widen and flatten turns 1 and 2 and keep the 24-degree of banking in 3 and 4. Well, they did the opposite here. They kept the 24-degree of banking in 1 and 2 and flattened it out to, I believe, 17 degrees in turns 3 and 4. So you can pretty much handle the car all the way to the bottom, fall on out from the exit of 3 and 4, or the exit of 4 actually, all the way to about the time you get to the apex of 3 and 4. And at that point, either you're lifting or you're probably doing maybe some type of downshift to bring the higher revs because the car's going to get bogged down. And really, as we see as this race goes on, that bottom line in 3 and 4 is going to come probably a lane and a half off the bottom for the fastest line. And you're going to see cars that really are on the high line coming off of 3 and 4 as the faster line as they jockey then to get to the inside to get back down to the inside for 1 and 2.
You know, we're seeing that jockeying for position already, not only in the front, but throughout the whole field. New race leader, Joshua Tucker. On the bottom right of your screen, you'll see the driver identifier. We'll have that up for the opening stint of this race. As you know, a lot of new faces here on the channel that we're seeing for the first time. Not to say these aren't recognizable drivers, though. You might know a name or two, as we mentioned, from the Race Spot event that was held previously in the day. Got a lot of faces who have made appearances in those bigger open wheel events, and we're seeing some 3-wide action further back in the pack. Taking a look as you look throughout the field, you'll see 2x2, some 3-wide in the mix, and how close these drivers are, you got to understand sometimes get a little too close for comfort. No second chances in that regard. We don't have fast repairs tonight, so you got to keep yourself settled in for all of the 167 laps. Not only you have to keep yourself free from damage, but you got to stay with the strategy here. And even though it might look like they're going all out, you got to start playing that conservation game. You might want to push a bit further if you know you got better car with that clean air. And this is when the difference in strategy really begins to come into play. These opening laps often set the foundation for what is next. That's regardless of what racing discipline you're looking at. And I think here in IndyCar racing, that's especially the case, as right now Joshua Tucker made the fast push and finds himself up ahead.
Yeah, I've raced with Josh Tucker before at a couple of races in the Revolution Indy League. That was a former league that was being run before the broadcast ban. Actually, the one race that I really raced him in, we had a IndyCar race at the iRacing Super Speedway, and he was heavily involved in the pack that I was in that particular race. But he's a very aggressive driver. I believe he also did some time on the Lionheart IndyCar Series. That was in their past season. Unfortunately, none of those races, even though they continued the series, the IR18 series, none of them were broadcast, unfortunately, because of the ban. But I believe he was involved in that as well. Julian was also involved in the Lionheart series as well. A couple of these guys also involved in the Indy Elite EIS series as well. So a lot of these guys, they see each other more than once on a weekly basis.
And that's a big thing to keep in mind as well, the community of drivers you're around. If you're comfortable with the driver, you can race them maybe a bit closer, maybe use up a little more of the track as the race goes on. And I have no doubt that a lot of these drivers have some recognition in this inner circle, because you know, if you race against familiar drivers, you tend to understand them a bit better. And right now we're seeing good battles all throughout. Looking further back in the field, it looks like the entire field is spread by about 20 seconds, going back to Sergio Vincentini in 27th. Rest of your field is spread within 7, and now we're looking side by side right now with the number 17 machine of Patrick Savassi, who's going to be in 14th as it stands. And you can see sometimes these double file battles don't last all too long, but it looks like for now the battle will keep on going, as dropping down to the bottom side is the number 91 machine of Yaroslav Donskoy. And now we've got another move being made, and with how quick you are, these moves are just about as fast.
Yep. Yaroslav in that Joseph Newgarden Indy 500 winning livery right there, up to 14th. The big gainer, if I get a call out to my man, maybe get the camera on him real quick, in P11, Jesper Orman up 12 spots after starting back shotgun on the field. He has worked his way up onto the doorstep of the top 10, and he is getting ready to attack the top 10 with a much vigor here. He had a very frustrating race at the US 500, so he has got some a little bit of red in those eyes.
And you mentioned it for Jesper Orman and a few of these drivers here. It's time to maybe go for that race victory. The race spots fields are always stacked, and it's, of course, no wonder some of the best drivers in all of open wheel racing come out to celebrate the return of this fantastic package to live broadcasting, and a lot of those drivers, or maybe at least quite a few of them, have stopped by to VOR to make it a second race on the day. You think that experience plays into the hands, or rather to their advantage when it comes to having another race in this night already?
Yeah, laps matter. Getting reps matter. You actually do get tired, especially if you have a very strong wheel. Your forearms will get tired after a while, especially in certainly the race spot race at the US 500 on the top split. It was constantly 3, 4 wide, 5 wide at times for the leads. So you're gripping the wheel just out of sheer fear a little bit more. So I'm sure some of these guys at the end of the day, their knuckles, their forearms are going to be a little tired by fighting these cars. Not as close quarter racing right now here at Kentucky in the VOR series, but Julian certainly letting Tucker know that he is there. He's swapped the lead back and forth a couple times here in the last lap or so. So I think Julian's just kind of reminding Josh that, hey, man, I'm still here. But also, if I know Julian, and I was a teammate with Julian, and we still talk quite a bit, Julian's probably what he's doing is staying right there in that draft as Tucker cuts through the air, punches a hole there, just like stock car racing, but very much more so in IndyCar racing. The draft matters not so much as helping you with speed, but in so much with fuel mileage. That's one thing you're going to hear a lot more in IndyCar racing than you probably hear in stock car racing, truck racing, something like that, is you don't really, even though they do have fuel mileage races in some aspects in those disciplines, it is always a strategy in IndyCar racing with fuel mileage and fuel consumption and fuel saving.
It's important to mention that, and I'll tell you this much, for what I've seen of these events, of course, in years past, open wheel racing definitely relies on understanding the insides of your car that much better. You can make several adjustments as the race goes on from within the cockpit, and the fuel mileage definitely comes to the center of attention when races go on. I think right now that has to be the case, and if not, there's a few other factors probably, but fuel mileage right now, if you have the advantage of your competitors and set yourself up early, it's definitely going to help out. And you can see the back and forth for the race lead. Tucker's going to give it away there. Now he'll get inside the draft, and I think that's what's going on here is at the line. They'll go side by side again. You don't want to wear out your stuff. Having that clean air, you got a little more fuel used lap in, lap out. So having some discipline with having the race lead can definitely help you. That was a close one there, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he crowded him a little off a corner exit there. Julian to take evasive action, gives the momentum back to Tucker down the backstretch. Tucker on the high side, getting around. Like I said, the high side there, line shows you right there in the example. High side gets him around. I was surprised that Tucker was really sticking with them as much on the high side through 1 and 2. Always find out that the low side of 1 and 2, it's almost victory by whoever gets there first. If you're on the low side of 1 and 2, you're going to be faster than the guy on the outside. So I think that little momentary checkup by Julian is what you see the difference there. A little bit further on back, my man Bruno Miranda. I like watching him. He's a great racer. He has moved his way up to 5th. Mark Murphy, one of my ex-teammates, he's worked his way up to 6th. Jesper Orman now inside the top 10. He has worked his way up to 8th. So here you're going to keep eyes on these guys. Another one a little bit further back, and I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe he's working on that fuel mileage. He always has something. He's working on something. He's working on that little bit of an edge. Craig Forsyth, he's up 8 spots, but he's back in 16th. Normally you find him up with the leaders. I'm wondering if he's back here, probably saving a little fuel. About halfway through a fuel run right here. So strategy's not yet to play, but the longer you can go, the better it is for you, because that means it's a shorter stop at the end with a shorter fill. And then when you're shorter fill, that means you're lighter on weight, and that also makes you faster.
That's something we did see in terms of our starting grid. Craig Forsyth in the 40 Race Square number 99 machine did not take the time in qualifying, and I think it could also come down to fuel mileage. We sometimes see that, of course, in other disciplines where you stay in the back, just let things progress early on, and try to capitalize later as the race progresses. Now for Craig, I've seen him, very quick driver with these open wheel machines, as you mentioned, so it's a bit of a shock to see him down in 16th, but he's still picking drivers off one at a time, right now going at a speed of approximately 215 miles an hour. Goes to show how good these drivers are at managing, of course, high speeds with the level of attrition, because these laps, they'll also wear you down. You don't have to have a race before to sort of feel that slowly but surely build up. We're still early on, but we're already 27 laps in, and we're more than halfway through this first pit stint, according to our estimations early on.
Yep. 26 cars are still running. Looks like Sergio might have had an issue, and he has an extended pit stop, maybe for some work to be done. But yeah, that's just kind of settling things in. Last lap, Tucker 2:13.1, Altena 2:13.5. Let's see, the best lap that time really were the leaders. Miranda up there 2:13, Orman 2:14. So I told you, keep watching on Jesper. He's already up to P6, and he's by far the fastest car in the racetrack by a mile per hour.
And look at now, Jesper Orman, the first time we focused on this number 2, it was in the 11th position, already just outside the top 5. That's going to be another driver to keep an eye out for now coming up on Bruno Miranda. And this is when you begin to wonder, is a driver like Jesper going to pull for a little more aggressive driving around him? Because if this is one driver who's making moves fast, the drivers ahead, if they want to keep their position, they'll have to start making moves quick as well. Unfortunately for Sergio Vincentini, looks to be out of this race, disconnecting after a 13-lap stay down on pit road. Now we look up in front, Jesper Orman within 2 seconds of your race leader, and now it looks like it's going to be the 4th spot, number 88 machine of Pedro Bibel, just within a second right now of Joshua Tucker, who still leads the way 31 laps in.
Yeah, Orman closing in on Bruno Miranda. This is a battle right here between these two, very experienced drivers. Bruno with a new team at that ROAR Motorsports or eSports team. Used to be with the Yukos Hollinger eSport IndyCar team, their official team. He raced for them for many races before the broadcast ban. So it looks like he has palled up with somebody else. He is on the back of Bibel. That's probably going to slow him up just a little bit. We're going to see Orman close the gap, and we're going to probably see a three-way battle for a position here momentarily.
And the fight's going to be on to maybe take some more spots just before we hit our first pit stop cycle of the night. For the viewers that are coming in, estimates are showing we should be seeing about 45 lap pit strategy stints. And we should be seeing our first pit stop within the next 10 or 15. 167 laps on the table tonight. You break it down by about 4 pit stops, and a little bit remains at the end. So the question is, do you go long early, or do you wait it out and maybe try to get that longer in as the race progresses? That's going to be one of the other conversations that goes on throughout the race. Still Joshua Tucker leading, and as it stands, a lot of pressure from behind, but Joshua more or less has led the majority of this early stint, but that's not to say that could change. Bruno Miranda still in the back bumper here, looking for 4th and getting closer, as you'll also see Liam Sullivan way up high. It's going to be 3 drivers, if not 4, and that's a very close moment.
Bruno into the wall. Bruno into the wall, yeah. I don't know if that's going to be any damage, but that's definitely going to. He's got to get the position up to Jesper. He's probably checking the car out right now to find out how it feels. Maybe he got away with one. We see. Now, the big difference between IndyCar racing, a lot of people reason why they don't like it versus NASCAR is the NASCAR, they can bump each other, and it's not the end of the day. These cars are brittle, and they don't like to touch the wall at all. They've gotten better in these lifetimes. These old cars, and when I say old cars, you're like, they're IR18. 2018 wasn't that long ago. Well, it's still, 2018 actually was a while ago, but these are actually the base chassis, the base tub is from the old DW12 car they started using in 2012. So these cars, even in the sim, are a little bit tougher than the average Indy cars of the past, where you would smack the wall and all of a sudden you'd have an A-arm bent or something like that. So it looks like he might be back underway. He just turned a lap of a 24.4, and Liam Sullivan right in front of him just turned a 21.4, and Mark Murphy in front of him just turned a 21.4. So he might have got away with one.
And that's a very, very close call. I mean, we saw how quick that bobble was up to the top, and overcorrecting. That could be the end of your day as well.
Sullivan's having an issue, though. Sullivan's the one having an issue right now. He is having a hard time getting it off of corner number 4. He is just up against the wall every single time on exit. He should be right down on the yellow line on through 1 and 2, so he is having some handling issues. He looks like he's with that Sim TV team. They have some experience, and look, Miranda on the outside of Sullivan. Sullivan might be going to pit road, and that's probably, that's what he's doing. So he is looking early an early pit stop, maybe to try to get the under on everybody to see if maybe the new tires will gain him some positions if he stops short now. So it's going to be fresher tires and a shorter fill. So it's going to be a quick stop for this guy. We'll see if he comes out in front of these guys when pit stops cycle through here in the next 5 laps or so.
Liam Sullivan, as well as the number 52 of Dan Encher, are going to be the first 2 drivers taking green flag pit stops tonight. Looks like some trouble for Dan coming in, and a bit of a slow entry either way just made the pit box there. Now it's going to be another driver going in Joshua Tucker, and it looks like we're already seeing drivers make their way in 40 laps in, and take a look at this. Yep. It's your first pit cycle of the day.
Yep. And look at who's in P2 all of a sudden. Jesper Orman, Mark Murphy. The cream kind of rises to the top in these races. It's funny how it does that. Mark Murphy, he's a former champion of the Indy Thick Series in the official races you see on iRacing that we covered on Raceverse. And he's also a teammate of mine that I've raced with before. So he's in a very familiar position. He's just kind of biding his time there in the that's a Stroker Ace paint job on the side of that car with the old chicken pit from Stroker Ace movie. If anyone seen that, remembers that movie. So that's a call out to a stock car livery that's on his car. But he raced that to the championship in the Indy Fix Series. So we know he's definitely got it in him. So we're looking at Altena, Orman, Murphy now 42 laps into their stint. Probably looking to pit here. Here comes Murphy going to 42, coming to 43. Julian getting some good mileage, probably because he followed the leader so long. He is going to go from 43 maybe to 44. Now the hardest part, and one of the biggest things that you see with these Indy cars when they come to pit row versus stock car racing. Stock cars have a little bit more of a suspension. They like to bend. Indy cars do not. So they're coming off a banking onto a flat part of the racetrack. And sometimes if you don't get your car slowed down, it will unload when you come off that banking. So coming off the banking at full speed and green flag pit stops, another reason why the green flag pit stops are so critical is because you can lose a lot of time by just not controlling your car properly coming off that banking.
And multiple drivers coming in this time through. Looks like Julian Altina, Bruno Miranda, Jesper Orman, and in addition, Matthias Strauss. And we also saw Craig Forsyth just a few seconds prior. Pit road continues to get busier, and this will hand the lead over to the 88 machine of Pedro Bibel with Jesper, Miranda, all coming in at the same time, as well as Julian Altina. And now it's going to be John Christensen, second place. Edson Santos is going to be in third, and Gary Lovern in fourth, as more and more of your field has taken at least one pit stop on the day. Your first cycle is in full swing now, and as we look throughout the field, a lot of drivers getting their opportunity up in front. Looking at Amaury Pivolo now in the fifth spot, not to mention going to be Sebastian Kinder in sixth, and now Miranda looks to be in seventh as we continue to cycle further down. That will change. Now getting back on the track right behind Jesper Orman, it's going to be Miranda coming off a pit road.
Oh, and ACP, Amaury Cesar Pivado, coming off the banking, and the car did unload, like I said it would. And he has spun the car, so that's going to severely cost him on his pit road stop, or your stop out here on for his pit stop. Sebastian Kinder, he is showing some legs. He is now slowing and coming in. He gets his car down, and that Team Watson, almost kind of a callback to Rick Mears' gold Charger livery back from the early 80s IndyCar days. And now Josh Tucker is back to, I believe, back to the lead.
I think that would be the case, as it looks like now the 97 of Sebastian Kinder is on pit road. Joshua Tucker has it out. Yeah,
so Tucker manages to get himself a bit of a cushion on the pit stops over Julian by about 1.6 seconds. And he stopped earlier. So he made well with those fresher tires and got himself some distance on that shorter stop. So Julian's now P2, Jesper Orman P3, and now the big thing that green flag pit stops. Oh, we got a car in the wall and yet caution flag.
And the trouble.
Not yet. We got 2 cars damaged on the track, but there's a caution. Surprised that the IndyCar officials did not go caution a little bit earlier there, because we had cars all over the place.
And it looks like it's going to be Dan Ench, one of those involved. We're bringing an instant replay to the viewers here as we see caution for the first time tonight. And, yep, we're looking back at it, up in the wall.
And those guys that just stopped, they're probably like, oh, could have been 5 more laps. Couldn't you have done that 5 more laps? Because then they would have had basically a whole lap lead on everybody. Everyone would have got the wave around naturally. But they would have not had to stop. They would have been able to stop under caution, maintain their positions, and everyone else would have got the wave around. So it could have been, coulda, shoulda, woulda for those guys if it could have gone a little bit longer with that caution for the guys that went long on that one that did 44 laps. Orman did 44 laps, 45 laps for Pedro Bibel. He's probably hitting the steering wheel a little bit out of frustration. Also, who else did 45 laps? John Christensen did 45 laps. Edson Santos did 45 laps. Seb Kinder did 46, and he was coming in an hour. It looks like there might be some confusion over what position everyone should be in now behind the pace car. But yeah, those guys that they just missed a golden opportunity.
And now we are figuring out who will be where. Mark Murphy looks to be scored as your race leader as it stands on a 6-lap stint. Caution out for the first time tonight. And I'll tell you this much, it's interesting that we had it as soon as almost everyone had their pit stop done and done. And that's sometimes what happens here as drivers are going to be in a mix of strategies, older tires, newer tires, and different approaches when you get back on the track. You can't take it as a safe ground for racing. Sometimes you just see drivers mix up with each other, and there we have it. First caution of the day.
I'm confused, actually. Yeah, I'm confused now because I don't know how Murphy, not to say that he doesn't belong in the lead because he eventually is going to get up into that pack. I'm not sure how he's a leader when we left Josh Tucker as the leader. So I think there's still some confusion. A lot of cars going very slow under the pace car trying to sort things out. But I think we got some scoring issues going on.
You can see how slow everyone is. I'd have to second that statement here. I mean, we're going at about 35-ish miles an hour. A lot of these guys are still just pedaling around the track at very slow speeds, and now we're seeing more pass by the iRacing pace car. Forsyth, one of which we saw Joshua Tucker go, and we should be able to alleviate the trouble, get ourselves going very soon. Now we have drivers on the way. Mark Murphy is still scored as your leader, but as you mentioned when we left off, Joshua Tucker had that spot, and he's coming on the outside line to take it back.
There he goes, yeah. Normally I would say thank God for electronic timing and scoring, but I'm not so sure right now. I mean, keep in mind, back in the really old IndyCar days, the USAC days, timing and scoring was done by hand and eyes. So this will be, hopefully the computer can get everything straightened out. Here comes Jesper down for a stop. That's he's going to stop a little early, I think, get everything topped off. This might be what gets him here to the finish only with 2 more stops, or maybe 1 more stop versus everyone else. Yeah, if I doing the math, it's going to be 50, get him to 90. He still might have 1 more stop to go, but the way that he's moving through the field so quickly, and the same thing, I think I saw Mark Murphy do the same. Stopping, getting fresh tires. If you're finding you're going to cut through the field easily like they did before, why not get back in there? Stop. Go ahead and get 4 pair of freshies on, and line yourself back up, and you'll go longer now than everyone that's currently on track.
And it looks like right now, some drivers going down a pit road. We're still figuring out the troubles here. A few drivers still pacing around slowly, and an odd circumstance after nearly 50 full laps of racing. I'll tell you this much. Good racing while we had it, and when we talk about caution statistics, we'll bring up our information on the bottom left of the screen once again. The most cautions this track has ever seen in VOR competition, it's 3, and the least is 2. So we don't often see moments like this on the track as more drivers opt to go down a pit road once again, and it looks like that's
Dan Inch. Sorry to cut you off, but Dan Inch is still driving around out there with a bad nose cone. I don't know if that's visible on your feed or not, but he's going to have to stop to get that repaired. I'm wondering if he's just staying out as long as possible to get as many laps credited, just in case there's another caution and get the car that was in the caution with him, if he can get ahead of him or not on the timing of scoring and finish here. So Dan Inch walking around out there with a floppy nose.
Ironically, I think he's the fastest driver on the track right now as we are still pacing. 1 lap to green this time by, and a little bit of driver chatter going on right now. Yaroslav Donskoy asking, did we break iRacing? I think they got it figured out, though, and we should be good to go for our first restart of the day. Everyone's lined up. Joshua Tucker is again your race leader, and it's going to be Julian Altena, then Liam Sullivan, Finian Dacuna, and Pedro Bibel, your top 5 as we move on to our first restart of the event momentarily.
So there might be some black flags here that get thrown and might get removed by timing by admins. So we'll see here. Dan Inch still needs to make a stop. I think he knows he has a floppy nose. At least I hope he does. And he's lining up for a restart, so
we'll be sure to find out as we come through this time by. Joshua Tucker, your race leader. It's going to be a single file restart, and they're all going to get stacked up. No incident, but it's going to be a clear and away advantage for the 77.
We almost had an accordion incident right there in the back where Inch was. I don't know how he doesn't have a meatball flag, but he's got to stop and get that fixed. There's no way that he can. He maybe can hold it to the bottom as they're coming up the speed on the bottom of 1 and 2, but there's no way he can make it through 3 and 4 without heavily lifting off the throttle. So I'm wondering why he hasn't stopped.
And he's lifting heavy now at about 170 miles an hour. That's almost 50 miles an hour off the pace. You're right.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the case is here. Is he going to keep on going and hope to just stay in it in case someone else wrecks? He's got to make a pit stop eventually. I think if he does, though, he's worried that will be his night. Odd circumstance back of the field, and we'll look back up ahead. Joshua Tucker now leads from Liam O'Sullivan, as you'll see. Julian Altena, now Finney Dacuna also involved. Bruno Miranda rounding out the top 5. Little bit of trouble to get us back going, but now 55 laps in, and your first pit stop cycle out of the way. Different strategies are now coming to fruition here, and we're going to start seeing how drivers divide up the rest of the night. Tucker, he still has that race lead, and he's been very aggressive about pushing to get it. Seems like he's very comfortable out ahead. You might be using a bit more fuel there, and I think that's just about a certainty, but having that advantage with the clean air, you're the driver, everyone is chasing down.
Yeah, much better handling from where he's at. He's 16 laps on his current stint. Sullivan 17 laps. Julian with the freshest tires in the top 3 with 12 laps on the stint. Bruno Miranda really with the freshest tires in the top 5, only 12 laps on his current stint. So right now, the tires are still fresh enough that a separation of 3 or 4 laps really isn't that big of a deal. As we get later in the run, a separation of 3 or 4 laps, you'll start seeing them picking other lines. And just saw in the corner of my eye, all of a sudden coming into the picture, and we've talked about him before. Here comes Craig Forsyth now. He's in the top 10. He's up in P8 and the tail end of this lead pack here.
Forsyth made the most of that entire situation. As a matter of fact, we saw him honestly within the top dozen through the initial pit cycle, made up a lot of time to slowly but surely put himself in the back end of the leading conversation, and the caution is going to benefit him greatly as well. Everyone gets stacked up. He's now inside the top 10, and all of a sudden, he can be in the conversation with some of the best in the business up in front. Bruno Miranda now going to be fighting side by side as your leader, Joshua Tucker. By no means is he away from the pack. They're all hunting him 110%.
So, yeah, we had 4 cars get black flags removed there because of the confusion from iRacing timing and scoring. So, looks like everything's all straightened out. People were where they needed to be, or hopefully where they should be. And no one after the race will throw a protest about being timed on the wrong lap or whatever. But we got basically an 8-car breakaway at the top.
And your leaders are continuing to break further away from drivers such as 9th place Patrick Silvazzi, who is now going to be about 2 seconds off of leaders. Forsyth is really the driver who connects the front from the back right now to get up to Craig Forsyth. Maybe there's a chance to stay with the leaders, but that's not going to be an easy feat here. You'll see Forsyth is sort of laying off the lead pack. He's got the draft as well, but not as aggressive as those who are directly up in front. Tucker and Liam O'Sullivan have been going at it consistently, and we mentioned earlier, it looked like Liam had some troubles. He went down to pit road earlier than the rest of the field, and he's come back out here, and he's still got the podium speed of the laps prior. And even then, he's looking for the race lead now, once again taking to the second groove through 1 and 2.
So Tucker went 39 laps on his first stint there. He's 22 in his current stint. Keep in mind, we got some caution laps in there. So he's going to go a little bit longer than 39 next time, but he was the first to stop for the very first stint and came out in front of Julian Altena, went 43. So wonder if Julian maybe will pit a little bit earlier this time around, considering he had about a 1.5 second deficit to Tucker when all of the green flag pit stops all shook out. So Tucker, Sullivan, Altena, your top 3. Smith, Miranda, Bybel, your top 6. Fourth time now is up to 7th. A little bit deeper into the field, some cars that we've seen that disappeared, but they're going to storm their way back. Orman 17th, Murphy 18th, Gallows 19th. Want to watch those 3. So we still got a lot of racing yet to go, and some of the dangerous drivers that we saw in the first stint, they're now way back in the field, and you're going to start seeing them again as this tire wear starts separating people.
And the separation of tire wear is a big thing to mention. Now, you mentioned it, that Julian Altena actually has a younger set of tires, a fresher set, shall we say, compared to those who are up in the podium. And even though, of course, right now Julian runs in 3rd, you think there's potential to maybe become a bit more aggressive as this run goes on and sort of put that power to the test when you don't have to use it all too much right now, but later on, that advantage might come handy.
Yeah, he has time. He has time where he can do that. Although it looked like he might have got a little aero push coming off of 3 and 4 and lost a little ground to the P1, P2. One of the things you find out with these Indy cars is that 2 cars do pretty well racing each other. It's a 3rd car that typically gets caught up in the dirty air, and then that's where you see the packs kind of develop. A lot of 2-car packs in IndyCar racing, and got a little bit of that going on with Julian and P3. Doesn't really have a lane to get that good clean air over those front wings. So he's going to be pushing a lot more, and that will close the deficit of those fresher tires because he's going to be turning that wheel a lot more to get to the corners than the top 2 are. Now, also one thing we haven't really talked about, and something that the big difference between stock car racing and IndyCar racing is that IndyCar drivers, these are like mini jets. I mean, right down to, you got an enclosed cockpit and your wheel looks like a yoke. But one of the things that many things that these drivers are doing, they're shifting gears on multiple times a lap. You don't really see that a lot in stock car racing. Another thing they're doing is they're working on their anti-roll bars, their front anti-roll bar, their rear anti-roll bar. They stiff and soften, helps the car rotate through the corner, and then also the weight jacker, which moves weight forward and back in the car. Really, it operates kind of a spring on the right rear, I believe, what it does in the sim. But in real IndyCar racing, kind of moves the weight left and right across the front of the car. And you're constantly, as you're in traffic, adjusting these knobs and dials on your wheel. Your fuel map, you can control that as well. Your brake bias, you can control that as well. It's not just I'm aiming the car, I got my foot down, and I'm in 5th gear and I'm going. These guys, in most cases, are working many things for a single lap.
And all those factors come into play lap after lap after lap at high speeds, 167 of which are on the table, and we're already nearly halfway. That goes to show how quick these drivers are making use of Kentucky Speedway here. Liam O'Sullivan has not backed off for the lead, and we're looking at drivers still slowly but surely making their way up. Craig Forsyth is now going to be up into the 7th position, so he's going to be slowly but surely climbing back up into this leading pack. Bruno Miranda's got double trouble, as you'll see. Hunter Smith, not to mention Pedro Bybel, also in the mix, and as everyone slowly but surely gets closer in this second grouping, it's going to bring Craig Forsyth, and maybe it's also going to bring Patrick Zilvazzi, because it looks like now that number 17 is gaining time at the same time. And as these drivers move further and further together, you start to see that air stall out the momentum, which is what's happening to Julian, and it might be happening to the rest of these guys fighting in the pack as they go side by side again. There goes Miranda.
Not Bruno Miranda. Bruno Miranda, he just found a lane on the outside, and it's a shotgun around Smith and Bybel, and now Miranda up to the top 4 here. And if there's a lucky driver of the day award, your early candidate right now is Bruno Miranda. Got away from corner contact with the right rear on the exit of corner 4, right about there, right before the pit stops happened, and he got away with a big one, and now he's back up into contention.
That was a very, very slick move, and sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Tonight, it looks like it could be in the favor of Miranda. As you can see now, the stadium lights are really in full effect. The sun is almost completely set in the backdrop of Kentucky Speedway, and track conditions, they still are shifting. So keep this in mind. As a matter of fact, we've got ourselves a constant weather to look at when it comes to 81 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the air temp. Track temperature looking at 85. Right now, the rubber being laid down is the big thing to keep an eye out for. But overall, very mild temperatures, as you'll see side by side again between O'Sullivan and Joshua Tucker. Fuel limit of 80% too, so a lot of factors in terms of the conditions of the session that will also impact how risky you can be with your racing behavior.
Yep, the atmospheric situation definitely invites for what we call pack racing, and we got a little bit of that going on. Not pack racing that you expect to see like stock cars at Talladega, but a lot more closer racing when it comes to the open wheel cars. And we got a 3-car breakaway. Miranda, he's in that draft. The draft envelope of these cars, about a second and a half, and he's well within that with the car in front of him. As long as he can stay there, he's going to be involved in this battle. They'll never get away. The car that really needs to stay within the envelope is Smith. Smith is back there, and let me take a look at Smith's stats. Smith is 4/10 back from Miranda, but he can't fall back very much. Now he's getting a good run, and we're going to caution, so that's why he got a good run. We're caution on the racetrack.
Yellow flag is going to fly this time through for Joseph Grjalva as the 47 is destroyed. Front end is gone, and it looks like we're now going to be under caution for the second time tonight. We'll take a replay and find out what caused it here. As you see, there's going to be some close quarters action. The number 2 machine right beside, and you can see it looks like Omar maybe getting some contact, or rather, you see there, it's Joseph who goes for the spin. So just like that, 2 drivers, Jesper Urman and Joseph Grjalva, and Joseph definitely gets the worst of that one.
Yeah, it's been a long day for him. He was one of the early outs in the second split of the US 500 a little bit earlier today. So I'm sure he didn't want that. Let me take a look here he just kind of comes down on, well, Jesper comes up, he kind of comes down. I want to say it's that is definitely a racing deal. I don't know if anyone's really truly at fault there. Everyone's coming in for pit stops, and the tires being worn at 32 laps for a lot of these drivers, 30 laps or so. It's kind of hard to stay on the bottom. So, and it's kind of hard to, if you're already pushing, it's kind of hard to keep the car off another one. So, I'm going to classify that as a racing deal. I don't think anything malicious or anyone did anything wrong. It's just that's open wheel racing for you.
Tough circumstance for both those drivers. Pit road is busy. Now we're looking at the race off pit road, so let's find out who gets out of pit road first. Going to be a huge jump there. It looks like O'Sullivan might have the edge. At the line, they were neck and neck. Now we're going to see who gets out first. As you can see, it looks like it will go to Tucker.
Yeah. So, and it happened, that caution happened right about at the perfect time. That's about where they all stopped lap-wise for the first stint. Remember, there was caution in the second stint, so they were going to go longer. We got a couple cars staying out. They're going to get the wave around. So let me introduce you to an IndyCar rule. There's no lucky dogs here, none of that little gimmick stuff that NASCAR likes to do. But what they do like to do is definitely allow the leader to take the green flag and to take the restart. It used to be back in the IndyCar days, in the older IndyCar days, the leader could be 3, 4, 5 cars back, but it didn't matter because whoever was still lined up first behind the pace car could have been multiple laps down. They were going to restart the field. And often we found out that maybe that car had an issue, maybe the driver wasn't as sharp as the other driver, and it would bottleneck things and issues would happen. And so out of safety, IndyCar initiated the wave around rule. So any cars that are not on the lead lap, that are in front of the leader but behind the pace car, are going to get the wave around. They'll get to automatically come all the way around, join the end of the field, back into the field before going green. And they'll get the wave around command 1 lap before going green. That way, Joshua Tucker gets to bring the field down and manage the field, which is his right as a leader to take the green flag.
And as you mentioned, taking the green flag very soon, 80 laps in out of 167. Joshua Tucker's got a few lappers to look at right ahead. Looks like now Dan Ench does not have a broken front end, and you'll see the nose cone is back in one piece. Now, it's only going to be 1 lap down for 52 machine right now, so Dan is not in terrible shape. Better as it stands to have that damage repaired and be 1 lap down than maybe be a troublesome force on the racetrack. Good to see there the damage has been repaired as Joshua Tucker leads the way from Liam O'Sullivan. We've seen a good battle for the race lead between our top 3 drivers all race long. So now the question is, what are we going to see next? The second half is coming up. Overall, very, very clean racing for the most part. Few missed misgivings on the track, but nothing major. And as you said, I don't think anything so far has been intentional. These are quick machines, and sometimes they're hard to handle, and at speeds of over 215 miles an hour, that is shown. But we could see some more aggressive driving. It is 80 laps in, and now it's time to find out whether or not that's the case. So, Gary, I'll ask you, you think we're going to see a bit more of that fire come out from these drivers?
Yeah, after a while, patience runs thin. Even with IndyCar drivers, your patience runs thin, and you're running out of time. The key thing here, if anything, is if you're not in contention right now, as long as you're on the lead lap, that's the key thing. If you're along the lead lap, you're in the fight, you're still in the game. If you're not on the lead lap, you're going to have to come up with some additional strategies to get the wave around, hope for some cautions, get that lap back that way. So the key thing with IndyCar racing, and one of the things that I jokingly, when I was racing with Julian, we always called the Godso strat, is I'm hanging out in the back, I'm letting everything happen in front of me, I'm letting all the human errors happen in front of me, I'm steering clear of all the big wrecks and everything. And by the time the end of the race gets here, all of a sudden you've knocked yourself up in the 8th, 7th, 6th, and you're looking at a top 10 finish, and now you can possibly race for the lead. I think a lot of guys are looking at this mid-pack saying, there's still a lot of racing to go, still a lot of tempers to go. Some guys have had a long day, might get tired, might make a mistake, cause a big one. I can gain some positions that way. The best place to make a pass is while the car's in the pits or in the garage. So that's the best and easiest way to make it. So I'm sure there's many guys in the mid-pack, Jesper Orman, one of them, that's looking for some more carnage to happen up front as he picks them off one by one.
Time to find out what these guys have in stores. The iRacing official pace car will come down in, this time by the sun, all but completely gone for the sky here in Kentucky, and it'll be Joshua Tucker once again in control. Let's see if they stack up this time through. They're all a bit closer, and it looks like Tucker's got the jump. Green flag's out yet again, second restart of the day, and Tucker's got the edge from Sullivan and Julian Altina.
I see Joseph updated in chat. He's not happy, doesn't seem like there, and I understand where he's coming from. He's had a long day. That was an instance that he thought maybe it might have been a little bit more on Jesper. You can go back and look at it, but it looked a little bit a racing incident to me. But again, long day. Everyone has kind of their own perspective on things. Chat can go back and look at it as well. Tell us what you think. Who was at fault in that incident? Put it in chat. Let us know. But we have a fight for the lead now as Sullivan is not letting Tucker get very far. And Julian just kind of hanging out watching the party from third place.
And tell you this much, if you do have a favorite driver, be sure to let us know in the chat room. Looks like right now, Ben Mulryan's got, of course, Liam O'Sullivan support in the chat. If you subscribe to FTN, unlimited chat access all year long, no matter what race we've got. Right now, Sullivan right behind Joshua Tucker, and they're still close as ever. Side by side again, Tucker takes it down to the bottom side, and 84 laps in, we have just about hit the halfway point. 84 laps to go as it stands, and now it's time to see how drivers show their true colors in the most important segment of the night. Liam O'Sullivan is still right there on the back end, but just can't quite find the way around. Defending that bottom side, Joshua Tucker makes the exits work time and time again.
Yeah, the way to keep the lead is definitely on the bottom off of 1 and 2. That higher line at 3 and 4 is going to come in. We've already seen Bruno exploit a couple of people on that high line. And as those tires get about 20 laps old, you're going to see that again. He's in P4, and he's in a position to probably do that once again. Julian in P3, I will say this for Julian. He has never let the lead get out of sight all night long, and that's you want to do that as a driver. You don't want to have to do what Rick Mears did, and that's fall to the mid-pack, then adjust your car, and then bring it all the way to the front. Although, he did do it to 4 Indy 500 wins, so I can't fault him, really.
I don't think you want to be away from the leaders, though, with this specific IndyCar package. I mean, when it comes to these IR18s, you mentioned how important these in-car adjustments are, how specific you can really get the intricacies down. So someone or multiple drivers ahead of you have it down to a T, and you lose time, it's going to be much more challenging to get back there. The racing of today, in terms of every sort of discipline, it's a lot more precise. There's very little room for error, and even in the virtual realm, you gotta stay with it every lap, no matter what. So I think right now, for someone like Julian to stay in the mix, no matter what lap it's been, that's a great attribute to have. As Hunter Smith takes away the third spot for now, they're going to be side by side at the line right behind your leaders, who are just about as close, if not even more so.
Well, look, just behind that battle for third, there's Forsyth. All of a sudden, he's cracked his way into the top 5.
And just like that, we got another driver to keep an eye out for, Forsyth, slowly but surely rising through the ranks as the race has gone on, and started in 24th. Hunter Smith started in 22nd, so just because you start in the back doesn't mean you're going to finish there. We are seeing some drivers claw all the way through, and they've made it up to this top 5 battle. Big time moves so far, but your top 3 in the race were top 3 in qualifying, just in a different order. So it's difference between the consistent front runners and the drivers who have gone for the bottom, and now they're here all at the same time.
Yeah, there's nothing that says that if you start in the back that your day is over. One of the early winners in the VOR series at this track, as a matter of fact, Alex Van de Sant, quite liked to do the first challenge, and he was like the king of it in the lead. There was a number of times where he would just start last and then drive his way through the field. There was a number of races that I could think of in my involvement in VOR where we had a 30-plus car field at an opener at Homestead, and for whatever reason, I'm qualified back in like 27th, and I just hang out with some strategy. Next thing I know, when the race is getting in its closing stages, I'm up in 5th place. It just, keep it off the walls, keep your pace, keep it on the lead lap, keep everything in front of you. Don't speed on pit row, avoid the mistakes. And then you can just start, getting 19 positions from your starting spot. No problem. It's an easy thing to do. And if you're a good driver, you can do it.
And all about being a good driver. Now, something I'm looking at as we look throughout the entirety of this field right now, it's a real international clash of drivers. Joshua Tucker right now, who leads the way from Portugal, racing for Little Eagle Racing. And you look at Liam O'Sullivan for O'Sullivan Motorsport in second, hailing from the United Kingdom in that runner-up spot. And of course, for Julian Altena, it's also the number 11 machine hailing from the Netherlands. So we've got ourselves an all-international podium. A lot of different nationalities being represented, and these drivers all coming with their different racing styles approaching this track. Of course, it's a challenge from all throughout the globe.
Yeah, I got Forsyth from Canada, Miranda from Brazil. It's not just a USA sport. It's a USA originated sport, mainly originated in the Midwest United States. Of course, IndyCar around Indianapolis and the Indiana area in the Midwest. But basically since the 80s, it's been very, very international. Kind of started with some of the early Brazilians, Emerson Fittipaldi, one of those. Had some Mexican drivers, Jose Lee Garza, Hector Rabaki, if that name rings a bell. Of course, had some other drivers from Europe and kind of do the Formula One, try IndyCar type thing also in the past. Jackie Stewart as well did that for IndyCar. The UK invasion really started back in the 60s or so, but now you can look top to bottom of a modern IndyCar field, and if you see an American flag more than once, that's kind of rare now.
Yeah, that's something you have to look in mind when you look through the history of the Indianapolis 500. At one point was an F1 points-paying race, and I believe during that time period, one start for Juan Manuel Fangio in the 1950s. So even then, more than, now 70-odd years back, you look at international drivers, it's a big part of IndyCar racing, and on iRacing even more so. Drivers throughout the world able to connect to this one racing server and put together a fantastic show. That's something that we see no matter what motorsport we're looking at, if it's real or virtual or otherwise. I think that just adds the excitement here. These drivers racing for different purposes, and they've got maybe not a lot of the line every night, but they're always looking to show off what they've got in store. Oh, it looks like now it's going to be Joshua Tucker making the move up ahead. 69 laps to go. He gets a nice charge out the corner, but Liam O'Sullivan's going to have that run, and once again in third, looks like it's going to be Julian Altena, as it's going to be Jesper Orman coming down to pit road after a 19-lap stint. Quick, I think he's setting himself up for 2 more stops remaining.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is scheduled or not. Up on the jacks. Probably get a full tank of fuel here. 8 seconds in the box, so that's scheduled. So it might be strategy. It might be strategy. I'm not quite sure what he's got planned in here, but it might be strategy. We'll see. We'll keep our eye on him. Especially if we go green, he's going to get everything back here. So I would also imagine that we want to watch these opening laps of him on this stint, as they're probably going to be pretty fast. They're not going to be in the draft, but they're probably going to be pretty fast.
And now Mark Murphy coming in this time by. He signals he's stopping for some go-go juice. Going to be fuel only for Mark Murphy as the 69 comes down and in. Another driver going to follow the lead of Jesper Orman and come through as well. So this is a scheduled cycle. Maybe not everyone's going to go for it, but we're seeing drivers coming in early to set themselves up for what would, I have to think, 2 more pit stops on the day. Just like that, strategy still running wild with 66 laps remaining, and it's by no means a done deal as it's Tucker, O'Sullivan, and Altena still leading. Pit road getting busier, and it's once again up to the high side. There goes Liam in the 63, but just hasn't been able to find that way around. Tucker's doing a great job here of defending with what he has, and that clean air makes all the difference, especially now as the field is even more spread apart.
So, Mark Murphy coming off the pit road, getting a little squirrely on the exit there. Got it underway. Looks like he got loose. 22 laps on that stint. He actually did change tires. Now, in IndyCar racing, unlike NASCAR racing, where pretty much every stop you are in NASCAR, you don't necessarily, you can change 2, you don't have to change any. IndyCar changes because of the pneumatics jacks that the IndyCar has, and the fact that they only have 1 impact lug that they have to hit. They can change tires inside of 5 seconds. So pretty much any time if a stop's going to last longer than 5 seconds, they're getting a new set of rubber on. So he got new set, filled the tank up. He could be good to go. It's going to be close. 104 coming to 105. He's a lap down, I think, on everybody right now at the moment because of the pit stop. If he does another 40, 45, it's going to be close. So he's going to have to do another one. So I think he might be right. He might be setting up for a really short stop there for the last one and kind of go all to the wall in that last 20 laps or so that he's going to have fresh tires.
So it looks like already drivers looking forward to what's left. More than halfway down. We've only got ourselves 62 laps to go as they come to the stripe this time by. That might sound like a lot, but in all honesty, it really isn't all too much looking how quick these drivers have been. Only 2 cautions of the day so far, matching the all-time low this series has seen at Kentucky, and only 1 under the all-time high. Very clean throughout tonight's racing, and we're looking again at the battle for the lead. How's about, though, we look a bit further back? Some close battles now going to be fighting 3 wide for what looks to be 6th. At the line, it's just behind Patrick Zavazzi. It's going to be Hunter Smith, Matthias Strauss, and it looks like Bruno Miranda. And once again, Bruno, no stranger to close racing, finds himself in the mix of our biggest battle.
Yeah, there's no out of bounds on the front stretch. If they want to use the apron under the start finish line, I believe they can. I have to go back and look at the rules. Sometimes Julian, when sets the league rules, they say the apron's out of bounds. Excuse me, until the final lap, and then the apron is open. But if you get forced down there, there is no penalty. You just kind of let out of it and get back on. There's a little bit of a banking transition there, so you got to be careful. But there is Bruno going on the high side of Hunter in that Team Watson racing car there. And he's setting them up for a side-by-side battle going into 1 and 2. Way up high. Hunter Smith down low. Has the preferred line, preferred exit. Now Miranda is going to have, looking at his rearview mirror, he's got Hunter Smith back there. And now we got Miranda using that high side shotgun that he was using before, pulls that pass off on Strauss and gets the position, move Bruno Miranda up to 7th.
So Miranda's going to be just outside of the top 5 now. I think he's going to be looking to try to get back up to Patrick Zovazzi, as it looks like right now. That 17 machine is just behind Craig Forsyth. These 2 drivers have stayed just on the outskirts of our leading battle all throughout the night. For Forsyth, of course, he had to climb up big, and for Patrick, he made it up from 13th to kick off the night, so he's had to make his moves as well. And right now, he finds himself just behind Forsyth, who currently rolls in the 5th position. So as it stands, it looks like we're going to see a little bit of mixing and matching. What are you looking at right now, Gary?
I was looking at the leaders, and Tucker's exit off of 2 went low, kind of threw the block on Liam a little bit. Now, blocking to a degree is allowed in IndyCar racing. You're allowed 1 move, and after that, you can't react to the car behind you. So you're allowed 1 move. If I want to go low and block low, I'm allowed that move. Now, if I go back up the track, before the car behind me decides he wants to go up a track, like as they called with when Marcus Ericsson won the 500, unleashing the dragon down the front stretch where you see the snake. You could do that, but if it's more of a blatant block, sometimes it's called the Pruitt fade. If anyone knows from the mid 80s, mid 90s, Scott Pruitt used to do that a lot. There it is, Tucker again going low on the corner, exit corner. So he's blocking the low side. That's legal, but if he does another move in response to the car behind him, then it's blocking. And then it will be up to the race officials then to either penalize him after the race or during the race or whatever, how that comes to be. But blocking to a degree in IndyCar racing is loud.
You know, that movement up and down the track always reminiscent to me of the first IndyCar race I watched in full, the 2020 500, where Takuma Sato and Scott Dixon went toe-to-toe until the race-ending caution that ended up causing the race to end short with no green flag finish. That movement is
the famous August Indy 500. Yes,
that was one to remember. I was watching that race and the Dover NASCAR event at the same time. I'll tell you this much: that's what gets you hooked. A race like that, despite the circumstances, when it comes to IndyCar racing, you see how these drivers are all out in terms of getting the win, despite the fact that if something goes wrong, it's not like in terms of NASCAR or someplace else where sometimes you can get it back out there and keep rolling, and maybe you have a chance to go win the race. 52 laps to go, coming out next to 51 remaining, and these drivers are as close as they can get, and that movement to avoid the trouble with the air, avoid having the driver behind you get the draft, and really take most advantage of being up in front. That's what you got to do right now, thinking of every last decision that can enhance your circumstance and maybe make it a bit worse for the competitor right beside you. Julian Altena's more likely than not with the leaders right now, just running his own race just behind the top two, and Liam O'Sullivan is definitely right there right now, not letting off at all. We're going to take a look on board, as a matter of fact, right now with the number 63 and see how it is inside of the cockpit. Looking at your grid for just a moment, O'Sullivan started in third tonight and right now is running in second, so a one position gain, running at sixth gear with about 12,000 revs a minute, just a bit under that right now. Redlining it, sixth gear all the way up top. We're not seeing all too much shifting right now in that Cosworth steering wheel, and there you go, down to fifth.
Goes down the fifth there, and then when the car gets bogged down in 3 and 4 because of the lower banking, now he's there goes the blue flash. You go to sixth. Six is more of a, longer he stays in six, he's going to be saving more fuel. That's just lower revs on the engine. And the sixth is the passing gear. There you see Tucker protecting the low side, or what we used to call the IRL line. Oh, and then here comes Sullivan in for pits. This is 40 laps on this set of tires, so it is time. And did he get it down in time on the rev limiter before getting to those cones? I believe it's a 45 mile per hour pit road speed limit, and after going 217, certainly 210 plus down the 45, it is like you're crawling.
And yeah, 45 miles an hour you have to hit when you're down on pit road. So much slower, but Joshua Tucker also makes the move in this time by. He's going to get slowed down, and it looks like he makes it in as well. 41 lap pit cycle. It's going to be a stint a bit longer than that of his competitor, No Sullivan. Just one extra lap, and with 47 to go, that could make the difference. Down and in for Joshua Tucker, whereas Julian Altena now finds himself as the race leader. Pedro Vaibel is going to be then in second, Bruno Miranda third, and Craig Forsyth is up into fourth. So for the drivers who are running longer, when we look at it now, do you think they have maybe an advantage in terms of having the better tires later?
Well, we saw during the first stint that those that came in early actually came out ahead of these guys that ran later. So I would imagine where the tire wear is really killing people right here, right in this corner. And I think we got another. No, I thought we had another car getting ready to make the dive down there with Babel on the bottom side there, Pedro. But I think if an earlier stop is going to be a shorter fill, but I think the newer rubber and the speed that you make up not being in traffic, this is the over and under. That's what we talked about when a pit stop, but an over and under pit stop. Am I going to come out over the guy behind me? I think the over is powerful here, and I'm not sure that I would not be surprised again that we see Tucker if we don't have a caution here, because if he do have a caution, he's a lap down. He's going to get stuck a lap down. But I think Tucker might come out in front of Julian and Miranda, who just took the lead. during the stint. So we'll see. We'll see. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Here comes Brandon, takes the lead and immediately pits.
And just like that, multiple drivers making it in at once.
Behind them. Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody.
And there they go, down and in. Patrick Zovazzi's going to be in. Looks like it's going to be Seb Kinder as well. Not to mention, in addition, looks like it's going to be Finya Dacuna at the same time. This is the biggest run of drivers down and into pit road at the same time. And just like that, 43 laps to go. It's a huge run down and in.
Yeah, this will be it. This should be a final stop. In fact, shouldn't need to be getting full tanks here. But tires are going to be very worn at the end. So if we get a late caution, somebody in the mid-pack might want to think about stopping and getting a set of tires. I don't think used to have tire limits here in VOR back in the day. I'm not sure if we're running them now, but nobody is really used more than 5. Well, yeah, Paul Irvin has actually used multiple sets of tires. So I don't think we have a tire limit. It used to be 5 back in the day, but he's used like 7. So unless he's borrowing somebody's, we don't have any tire limits here today.
And just like that, Craig Forsyth, Julian Altena coming out at the same time, and Joshua Tucker has the race lead. So as you mentioned, coming in early, you get that race lead right back, and the battle begins again for the race lead. So those who came in early are out in front with 42 laps to go. Same 1-2 as previous. Yester Orman is now going to be scored in third. However, caution flies.
Caution, and everybody that just stopped is again kicking the inside of their simulator here. Because that would have been a key for those that haven't stopped yet. Jesper and Park Murphy are actually 2 of those guys that might benefit from this. So we'll see.
And just like that, caution is out. We're still trying to figure out why that is the case. And with 41 laps to go, trouble on the racetrack here, as it looks like pit cycle is getting interrupted. Looking throughout the field, you'll see a majority of which, of course, don't have damage. So we're trying to find out what happened, and it looks like we might have a lead. Looking down on pit road, looks like Gary Lovern has some damage here, so we'll take an instant replay of it. Take it about a minute back and find out whether or not Gary was involved in the most recent incident. Doesn't look like that was the case. Still trying to look back here and find out what caused this.
I'm checking chat here. It says it's Sullivan, and the V is pronounced as a B.
And there it is. It's going to be Yaroslav Donskoy who was involved in that one. Just like that, yellow flag is out. Looks like it was the number 8 machine. There we have it, Matthias Strauss. And there we have the driver that was involved in this incident. Looks like actually it was a single car stop. We saw that the number 91 actually moved by the incident. And now as you look back again, looks like some trouble as you go through turns 3 and 4. And a Team Watson Racing set machine just contact down and in. Don't think that was intentional, but certainly some multi-car trouble. We'll take it back with one more angle.
Yeah, that's a stout team that must have had a snap loose or something on them that didn't even get close to the see what happened here.
And it looks like it hitting the number 88 machine if we were looking at it properly.
Came down on Pedro.
Yep.
It was among our leaders, so maybe it wasn't clear. Okay, well, that's on him. That kind of, you got to be clear.
And for Pedro, it looks like a save being made, but definitely not at all what was, of course, expected.
I got to think he's got some damage on him there. Yeah, I got to think he's got some damage on him. So there goes, he comes down. Yeah, he just comes down on him. I don't know if he was expecting Pedro to be lower on corner entry.
It was a tough one to call there, as you saw. Just not clear. Didn't seem to be anything else.
And look at the cars split them there. Yeah. You had
very close.
Craig had to go to the apron there, so that's dangerous because I told you it unloads the car. So that he was able to hold on there. So I'm checking chat right now. So Ben here in chat says that it's O'Sullivan and the V is pronounced as a B. Well, right now it's a V, and well, we're just saying it as a spelled English wise, but if he's saying it's O'Sullivan. I don't know if that's true or not. Apologies if we're saying the name right or wrong. Pardon us. We'll get that straightened out here in future races. So I've butchered some names already in this one. I never thought O'Sullivan or Sullivan would be one of them. So pardon me. But I guess everyone's saying that this is his rookie race. So his first start in the series. Is this his first start in an IR18 Maybe one of you guys can tell us that. But if that's the case, pretty impressive that he's able to rock with the leaders for that long, because these cars, they're not for the faint of heart for first-time drivers, that's for sure. And it's just because you come out of another open wheel ranks, they also have those in-car tools, but the IR18 is the only one that has those in-car tools unlocked for you to use. So you can go race the DW12 and you can't use those tools. You can go race the IR05 or the IR09, the old legacy IndyCar. Those are also locked. They have in-car tools on the IR01. I think they have in-car tools for the Formula One cars. But during fixed races, those are all locked. The IR18 is the only car, the only open-wheel car that I know of that you can adjust tools in a fixed race.
Tell you that much. From open wheel car to open wheel car, many differences, and there's several generations of which go back to cars like the Lotus 49, so it's not all parallel, that's for sure. Even in terms of IndyCar, you say the 05, we got the DW12, the IR18, and we saw that the IR01 came out recently, or relatively recently that is, so definitely not all the same, but for a first-time driver, been a very impressive start, and being new to a league and staying up there up in front when the drivers might not know you, that's another thing. So certainly impressive in that regard. Joshua Tucker, though, he's got some advantage now. Bruno Miranda's in second. Craig Forsyth is in third. Big gain for the two of them. And now we've talked about Forsyth all race long. Sporadically, he's come up time and time again, but he has a chance to really put himself into the show as a main competitor for the race win.
Yeah, he's a multi-time, I believe he's a multi-time winner here on the VOR series. No stranger to victory lane. Won, at least that I know of, as I was a teammate of his in the Lionheart Speedway series, which raced the DW12. He won a race there. So if you're able to beat anybody at the Lionheart level, you really are racing the best of the best. And that's in any one of their series for that matter. So we know it's in him. Bruno Miranda, we know it's in him. Tucker, we know it's in him. Got some guys that we don't know behind him. We're going to see how they're going to shake it out as we go green here, hopefully for the last time, lap 131.
And here we go again. Joshua Tucker was another great restart there. You see how far he pulled away, just about a half second, and he's already up ahead. 37 laps to go this time by, and it's going to be Bruno Miranda and Craig Forsyth already back on the chase. And when you're on the hunt with such little time, you got to get a move on, and fast.
Tucker going down, but almost below actually, I think he got the left sides below the yellow line to kind of throw the block on, bake the draft coming off of corner number 2. See if he does it again, staying low. Come on the exit there. Going to stay low. Yep. Now, he's turning the wheel a little bit more than the guy behind him. That's going to scrub off speed. That actually is going to add to your tire wear. It might be in Bruno's best effort or interest to kind of come out a little bit wider, maintain that speed, and maybe get a run down the backstretch going into 3 and 4. We'll see if he do that. If anyone can figure it out, it's Bruno Miranda. I have a lot of faith, and these two can race tight side by side because we talked about it. Trust is a factor. I know these guys, and even Craig Forsyth. I would race wheel to wheel with these guys any day because I trust them.
And Bruno Miranda, who's been quite the high-side hero all race long, is now the closest to Joshua Tucker in regards to getting that race lead back. We're riding on board now with Miranda as he runs right behind Tucker. 5th gear, as high as it gets, 11,600 revs a minute. Now it looks like he's actually staying in 5th. He has not made the move up to 6th just yet throughout the whole lap. I think that's actually just to get higher in the revs, put a little more power down, and now trying to power through on the high side. There goes Bruno Miranda.
Something happened to Tucker, and wow. I don't know if he just decided that he's not going to be able to make it and he needs to get behind a draft, but he's fallen back. I don't know if he possibly touched a wall. Didn't see something. I was looking at the replay feed there real quick. And now that moves Forsyth up to P2, Craig Bruno Miranda up to P1. Let me give you a quick story about driver trust. My very first fixed Indy 500, when I saw my split, I knew nobody in the split. I didn't trust a single soul in that race. All I knew, I was starting 5th. And what I decided to do is I'm going to start from pit road. I'm going to give up track position, and I'm going to start from pit road, give up my 5th starting spot, and I'll work my way up through the race. And green flag, turn 1, P4 and P6, right where I would have been, collided. and took each other out. And we went yellow, caution immediately. And as soon as I roll out on the racetrack, I went from 33rd to 31st. So if you don't trust really matters in these cars. If you don't think the person in front of you has a skill set, it will hinder the way you run. But when I know that there's a Bruno Miranda out there, a Craig Forsyth, a Josh Tucker, Julian Altena, a John Christensen, a Jesper Orman, a Mark Murphy, those type of guys, a Hugo Galles, I have faith running around them because I've raced with them before that they're going to race me clean. Some of the other guys, I just don't know. And that does make you a little bit apprehensive when it comes up to pass those guys.
And that trust is really playing in how these guys are racing each other in the final laps. 29 laps remaining this time by, and in all honesty, it's a sprint from this point onward. Dallara Dash races are only 25 laps or so, and that's just about the lowest level, or used to be with the DW12s, of fun sprint races. Well, I'm sure it's fun for these guys, but there are points on the line, and there's a championship to race for. So now you got everything you've put yourself through, over 140 laps to this point. Now you're going, and you're playing for keeps for the race win. Bruno Miranda's up in front. He's got the lead. But take a look now at Patrick Silvazzi, who has been all throughout the field. Mid-pack started in 13th, and he's right on the back bumper. And he's bringing Craig Forsyth right there with them, whereas Joshua Tucker has some pressure to deal with here, as it looks like the 83 of Eric Macedo is now in the picture, and the top 5 could change once again.
And now Tucker's in a spot where he hasn't been all race long, behind traffic, really. I mean, he's been racing at the front, maybe swapping the lead a couple times with Julian, maybe swapping a couple times the lead with O'Sullivan, but he has not really had the aero push impact him as it is right now all race long. So can Josh recover? Whatever happened there, I'm real curious whatever happened there. I mean, it may have just cost him the race. And we'll see. We still got some time to go. He might be able to get back up there. And if he does, awesome. But if he doesn't, that just, whatever happened in 3 and 4 to him just cost him the race.
And you're looking how close these drivers are getting. I don't think it's cost him the race just yet, because he's still just about 3/4 tenths of a second away from your leading man. Craig Forsyth is still chasing down Patrick Zilvazzi. As you look on board now with Craig, he's up top, and he's using the 6th gear, getting some momentum up high and trying to put that power down through the back straightaway. It's an all-out effort to chase your race leader and get there once again, hoping to put himself at the top of the board. He has not led a lap so far in this race, but the 4D Simware number 99 is closing in once again, and now we've come down to 24 laps remaining. He's right there. He goes way high.
Yeah, taking a peek, got a little close on entry. Going to wash up there, so didn't have enough air on the front wings. Want to give a shout out to the 4D guys. 4D is a great organization. Anyone's looking for some simware, check them out at 4dracing.com. They're going to be our sponsors for the Monday, or actually now Tuesday night, Indy Fixed Strength of Field race. That's going to be on Raceverse here, starting every Tuesday night. If you guys, you like what you see it here, and you want to race VOR, come race VOR, but also check out the official races, Indy Fixed Series, Indy Open Series. There's going to be the IIS, which is going to mirror the IndyCar Series schedule, and then coming up, in May, we're going to have the fixed and open Indy 500s, which you can be a part of. So if you like what you see here, go out and buy the IR18, get involved, learn the car, and show up for some of these official races. Get in here in VOR. You're really going to like it. IndyCar is on a resurgence for the last couple of years. It will get kind of down last year because we didn't have an iRacing aspect or footprint anymore. But really, the aspect of IndyCar and IndyCar excitement really kind of bubbled out ahead in 2022. And that's really because everyone the series was so strong, and the series was very healthy here on iRacing.
And you can see now Craig Forsyth, for the first time, puts his footprint in the lead lap category. He led just about 1 or 2 of those laps in the middle of the battle here. 21 laps remaining, and he's right there.
Orman, P5.
Looking
Jesper Orman
close.
worked his way to P5, yeah. Eric Masato, he's worked up to worked his way up to P6. Julian hanging back in P7. Running out of time, Julian. Julian's got 20 laps left. Still some time, but he needs to get the move on here and get back up in that lead battle. Mark Murphy back there in 10th. So we got still some of the seasoned battlers are put their cars in a position that they can work for a solid top 10 finish, top 5, maybe even get on the podium. But right now, the guys fighting for the win is Patrick, Craig, and Bruno, and they're not letting up at all.
Well, it looks like Joshua Tucker is going to try to get his way on the bottom side. As you see, Jesper Orman looks low, and just like that, it's a fight for fourth. Orman's been on the charge to get up in front all race long. He started one spot ahead of Craig Forsyth, and now he's only just about 2 spots behind. They're really close to contact there.
Tucker, he heard clear on the radio, and he took it for... Sometimes your spotter can say you're clear, and you're not necessarily clear. And because there's this thing called netcode. And especially if you're running a crew chief, sometimes that could throw that off a little bit. You got to be really sure that you're clear when he calls out clear. And actually, one of the settings you can use in crew chief is you can call off the clear call by fractions of a second. So you could definitely make sure, caution flag, definitely make sure you're clear when you come down on somebody. So now we're going to have a sprint to the finish. Who got in trouble?
And it looks like it's going to be Hunter Smith, one of the drivers involved. He was up in front early as the race went on. And
yes,
this is
he
your
was.
4th yellow flag of the night. It breaks the caution record here at Kentucky. And with 17 laps to go, if you thought we were looking at a sprint before, you haven't seen anything yet. Yellow is out, and it looks like now this is Hugo Galas we're looking at. So we'll take it back 30 seconds. And you can see there, going down to the bottom, the 91 of Yaroslav Donskoy was involved, the cause of which just looks like some backstretch action, weaving and bobbing. Just didn't look like there was enough room for either driver in that circumstance.
Let's check it out here. Yeah, let's see what happened here real quick.
And we're looking at
part of that... I believe it's Internet iRacers, the IIS squad. I could have got that wrong. It's a team that's been around a while. And normally, it's right in front of them. Okay, whatever happened. It was the Joseph Newgarden livery. Yeah, man, they both found the inside wall. If that was a real world hit, that would have been a hard one.
Yeah, of course, luckily that wasn't anything in the real world. Huge hit for both of them, yeah.
So we got some pit stops that happened. Craig Forsyth, not sure what happened, showing him that's back in the order now for some reason.
Well, he did go down and in.
So he did go to the pit stop. Okay, so he's going to Josh with him. So Patrick's going to stay out. Bruno's going to stay out. Jesper's going to stay out. So we got drivers with 27, 27, 24, 24 laps. Tucker with fresh ones. Pedro with 26 laps on his current set. Mark Murphy with 24 laps. Christensen at 26. Right now, I'd say the driver's seat, we might see Tucker be able to recover from whatever happened off turn 4 because he has the freshest tires among the top 5. Does he have enough time? And can those new tires compensate for the aero push that he's going to get back there in his current position? But we got Silvestri, Miranda, Orman, Altena, Pedro Bible, Murphy, Christensen, Santos, Ramirez, Forsyth. Tucker's back in 11th right now. So
not quite sure if that's going to play out, and we're looking at what will be
I'm not showing,
14 green flag laps to go with the very most from this point onward. So with that little time, I don't know. It's going to be 13 now the way we're looking at it. So very short distance to the end. It's a risk. We'll see if it plays out.
Yeah, timing and scoring shaking out. So we got Forsyth in 10th, Tucker in 11th. So Tucker went from 5th to 11th, but that just took timing and scoring to shake out. So we're back to Silvestri, Miranda, Orman, Altena, Bleibel, Murphy, Christensen, Santos, Ramirez, Forsyth, and that's your top 10. Tucker now is 11th, looking out and towards the end of the top 10.
A lot of those competitors we've seen all night long, some taking the charge down to pit road one more time. Patrick Zilvazzi, Bruno Miranda, and Jesper Orman all benefiting from staying out, at least for now. Yep. They've been quick all race long. I mean, they might not be the guys we've been talking about for the race lead necessarily, but they're quick, and now
they're banking on track position. They're banking on track position and aero to keep them in front of the people behind them with fresher tires. But if I'm towards the end of the lead lap, I have nothing to lose here by going in for a set of 4 freshies and just let's send it. Let's send it through 3 and 4 and see if it sticks. We still have 19 cars still running, I think. Still, I mean, there's going to be a lot of dirty air out there. So new tires might make a difference. We'll see. Well, we're going to watch them. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. This is a typical VOR race where we get towards the end. You're going to have one of those last minute sprints, and as we let it all hang out.
And I'll tell you this much, something that's different from the early part of this race, the average starting position for your podium right now is 14th. 13th, 6th, and 23rd, respectively. Earlier in the race, 100 laps ago, the first, second, and third guys were still up there in the top three of the race. I mean, it's a huge shift right now. It goes to show grid position doesn't determine everything here. We're looking at a different group of drivers who have been fast and now have an opportunity up ahead.
Patrick up 12, Bruno up 4, Jesper up 20. That's your top three. Those are the number of positions they've improved since we started this race back. Almost a couple hours now. So it's been a long day for me. I've been running since about 1 o'clock, spotting for the guys over on the US 500. So after this, I'm ready to eat. So let's get this over, guys.
Well, I'll tell you this much. For those who are watching FTN tonight, I'm not done. I've got a race coming up at 7:45 Eastern, Daytona. It's the Xfinity Cars with a Saturday Night Thunder Grand National Series. So if you've had some FTN fun and you're looking to see more racing, stay tuned. In about 2 hours' time or 3 hours' time, we'll be back with even more. But first off, we've got 13 laps left to figure out who's going to come home at the end as a winner. Patrick Zilvazzi's got a huge jump. And there we go again.
Good start. Now, that you don't want to get and this is just like draft racing when it comes to stock cars. You get that big lead, and then all of a sudden the guy behind you gets that big run. That can happen here too. So it looks like that because of I believe because of the tire wear, that Miranda's not be able to pull that one off. But that was a great start by Patrick.
And that could be the difference between having to face that pressure immediately and maybe getting a lap or two as a grace period before everything gets very antsy once again. Bruno Miranda still there on the high side, trying to make things work out. He's also got Jesper Orman, and your pole sitter is right there as well. They're 3 wide for the race lead. Down to the bottom side, Jesper Orman takes the lead, and the bottom move will work, at least for now. Taking a look down to the bottom side once more, Patrick Zilvazzi at the line. Make it 3. Aprons being used. And they're banging.
Almost contact with between Patrick and Jesper going in the 1.
I think they actually made a bit of contact.
Jesper's going to cut underneath them coming up the corner. He saw what he was trying to do before, and he's going to cut down underneath them going in the 1 and 2, and the exit of 2. Excuse me. Here comes Julian. He's trying the shotgun side up at 3 and 4. He's going to have himself a good run. Gets around. Oh, Bruno washed up and lost momentum. He's back to 6. He's still got time. And now Julian gets around and flashes the dirty air, which is legal. You can do that. Always like flashing the dirty air to the car behind you. Flashes the dirty air to Patrick, causes Patrick having to lift just a tick. Julian holds the position. And now 2 of my good sim racing pals, 3 of my sim good racing pals. Here comes another one, Mark Murphy. These 3 guys I've all been teammates with right here. In one form or another. 1, 2, 3, and they're all of a sudden now part of this battle.
And looking at Julian, who's your pole sitter tonight, it looks like now he's in the mix. Mark Murphy gets up there as well, and they're going to be pushing that Jesper Orman machine right back out front. 9 laps to go. We're in the single digits now, and every lap counts more and more than the previous. Jesper's got the advantage right now, but no telling whether or not Mark Murphy's got something in store to take it right back. Up top, Mark Murphy's going to take it once again. Looks like now Julian Altena is going to break a little bit of that gap and get right back up to Mark as they're 3 wide once more. It's going to be Orman down low. He keeps that lead, and it looks like right now Jesper's got the advantage on the bottom side, clear enough to take it down to the start-finish line with the advantage again.
Yeah, these 3 at the lead, no strangers of one another.
And they're all racing each other like they know each other for certain. Nearly 4 wide during that one instance down the backstretch. Looks like Patrick Zilvazzi backs off. Craig Forsyth is making moves, and he's got new tires. So keep in mind, this could be an advantage that could take Craig up to the top. And we're looking now on board with the number 99 machine. He's got a lot of time to make up, but he's been making it quick. And with 6 laps to go, there's definitely a chance for a podium, if not the race victory. Not all hope is lost if you're Craig Forsyth here. He's in the middle of the Hornet's nest. You can see there, the leaders are just ahead of him.
3 wide off of 3. 3 wide off of 3. It's like the start of the Indy 500.
And there we go again, 5 laps to go. It's about as close as they can possibly get. Jesper Orman's got the race lead once more, but it still is going to be Mark Murphy working that bottom side, trying to stay up there with the driver of the number 2. Still as close as they can be lap after lap. Julian Altena is going to be up top, one driver in the wall.
Craig.
And here we go again, Craig Forsyth getting in it. Bruno Miranda hit the wall bad. It is now dropping fast. 4 laps to go. It's 2 by 2. And they're still as close as they can be.
I said it before, cream rises to the top. It's not just Macho Man saying it, part of a promo in wrestling. It's true. The cream rises to the top. These 4 drivers I've raced with extensively over the last 4 years, and I know that their capabilities, and here they are. When it comes time for checkered flag time, they are right at the front. And we're gonna see a hell of a finish here. We're gonna see a hell, and here Tucker's starting to get re-involved in this battle as well. So we're gonna see a hell of a finish. As Tucker decides to try to cut low, and he gets cut off a little bit.
Man, man, that was lucky there for Tucker, but he thankfully gets it going again. And now 2 laps to go. They're so close, lap after lap. Forsyth's got the lead.
Yeah, Murphy washed up in 3 and 4, but he's gonna get a good run as a result of it.
And now it's time to put it into action. Craig Forsyth up ahead as they come down the back straightaway. He's got the lead with Jesper Orman down on the bottom side. It's still Craig, Orman, middle, and Mark Murphy up top. 1 lap to go, this time by the final of which to end the night here in Kentucky. White flag is waving. It's Forsyth in the bottom. They're touching for the first time, and Jesper Orman throws it up to the middle all the same. Forsyth's now got to defend. You'll see Julian Altena going down on the bottom side, and they are 3 wide for the lead. Up top, it's going to be now Mark Murphy trying to make something happen. Forsyth still got the bottom, and Jesper Orman's got the middle. Drag race at the line. Who's it going to be? Jesper Orman. And it looks like Orman gets it done by 14 thousandths of a second.
Yep, 14 thousandths. And Forsyth second, Murphy third. So all 3 guys that I've raced with in one form or another, just masters of their craft today. And I'm an unbiased reporter for the most part, but I know that these guys have it within them to do this, and they proved why they are good as they are within the IndyCar community. And Jesper had himself a frustrating race after getting involved in an early incident in the US 500. He gets himself redeemed here with a win in VOR. Craig Forsyth had a good run there in the US 500. He has another good run here. And of course, I'm not sure where Mark Murphy finished, but he was amongst the leaders, at least those on the lead lap. Julian involved in this finish. He had a good run in the US 500, the second split. Tucker had a decent race until he had some incidents there in the first year. So all 5 of these top 5 were involved in an earlier race today, and they roughed her out. So they did the double.
And with all those laps pulling together at the end, fireworks already set off in the background. Jesper Orman pulls it through and will win the Kentucky 400 kilometer. Let's go through your results before we take a brief break and get your top 3 drivers. Jesper Orman wins over Craig Forsyth by only 14 thousandths. Of course, very close there. Mark Murphy kept him honest too. He'll finish in 3rd with Joshua Tucker, then in 4th. Going to be Julian Altena in the 5th position. Pedro Bibel going to be 6th, and Eric Macedo then in 7th, with Finian Dacunha in 8th. Paul Irvin is 9th, and John Christensen rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, if you want me to grab the rest of the field, I can. Liam O'Sullivan, his first race, got the guys cheering for him here in chat. P11, not bad. I'd take that for a first start. Sebastian Kinder, Seb Kinder there for 12th. Hunter Smith, 13th. Bruno Miranda had some late race, must have had some late race incident or something. Back to 14th. Santos, 15th. Ramirez, Silvestri, Gallez, Inch, and Donskoy, your top 20. Diggs, Strauss, Pavado, Vandenbos, Gravalja, Lovern, and Vicente remains out the top of, your 27 car field. Purple lap belonged to Forsyth there at the end, 24 flat. And your biggest gainers of the day, Orman up 22, Forsyth up 22, Mark Murphy up 11, Shout out to Paul Irvin. He had 17 spots that he gained. So those are your biggest gainers on the day. Irvin there got himself a top 10, finishing ninth. So good day for him. So let's head to the interview booth and see who we got. If anybody that wants to talk, because I'm sure that these top three are pretty exhausted.
Certainly. We'll take a look at our top 3 interviewees after a brief promotional break, courtesy of our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations. This has been the Kentucky 400 kilometer. We'll be right back with your top 3 after this message.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Returning after a fantastic race here in Kentucky, we're going to talk first to our third place driver, Mark Murphy. Gary standing by with the driver of the number 69.
I'm going to get him into the broadcast booth. And he disappeared.
We just saw that happen. He goes away the moment we try to talk to him there. Mark Murphy, still trying to get a word with him. And yeah, we saw him. I don't see him anymore. Oh, there he is. He's in another broadcast booth now. Hold on, let's get him in here. Should be able to head our way.
There he is.
Yep.
Murph, how you doing, buddy?
Gary, it's been 378 days since I've talked to you, man, and it's
unnecessary.
So awesome.
378 days,
brother. I am so happy to be back. It's been. I sat down in my rig at 8 o'clock this morning, and other than to get a quick sandwich and get a and go to the bathroom, I haven't left it.
I've been like that myself. I was spotting during the US 500 for I told you that, but all I've had was a bowl of cereal very early this morning. So 2 races back to back. I don't remember what you finished in the 500, or the US 500, but a P3 here by a nose for almost a win. You weren't in it all day. You did some strategy. You were in the back. You were probably just following Jesper, which is probably not a bad thing in hindsight, considering he just won. But a long day for you, but a rewarding end of the day for you. Tell us about your race.
I tell you what, I was disappointed in my qualifying effort. That was not my best. I'll admit I didn't prepare for this at all. Most of my effort was this week was focused around California, and so I hadn't turned a lap on this setup at this track since the last top split broadcast, and through just bad qualifying, and we had a lot of speed. Jesper and I both had a lot of speed, but on that second caution, he and I elected to come pit for fuel, and both of it, at least I don't know what he intended to do, but I brain faded it and didn't turn the tires off. So we were short one set. And so then we had to take gas only on a later caution so that we had enough tires to make the end of the race. And then Jesper you're exactly right. I faded to 15th and I was just following what Jesper did. And I saw him give up and I looked at the times and I was like, well, the heck with it. We all got to stop 2 more times anyway. Let's shortcut one of them. And we got out and we were bad fast. I mean, we would have come out with the leaders and, that was it. Got kind of lucky again with a late caution that, we had better tires than everybody else up there and let us get back. And it was on. It's so much fun to race with him and Craig and Julian and Josh. I mean, those guys, this is fun. I had a blast for 500 kilometers earlier, and I just had another blast there. There's no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it, Gary.
Go ahead, Dave. You got any questions for him?
Well, I'll tell you this much. When it comes to how you raced it, 14th to 3rd, we saw you throughout the top 10 fighting there for most of the race. You came up here very late to pull yourself in the podium conversation. How was it making those moves? Maybe not as much time on the table. You still came home with a great finish.
Man, I got a hat that says run the bad word cushion. And that was my philosophy in this one. Just get it high, wide, handsome, keep that thing wound up on the top, and it worked. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was higher than pretty much everybody else for most of the race. And there's clean up, there's clean air and there's grip up there, but you don't want to make a mistake, and it worked. And so we drove up to, I think before my air, we were what, second and third. Jesper was running right around a white line, and I was up in the Harry Gant line, but different stylistically, but the result was the same. And kudos to Jesper. He got taken out in a 500 earlier in a mess that wasn't his own making, and he deserved that win. And I'm happy to be third, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy that once again, Gary and David, I get to mention my friends at Race First, the Elite Racing League, Warriors for Peace, and Black Magic Designs. We brought back the original chicken today, Gary. I don't know if you picked that up. That was
we sure did.
That was my first top split open win in that car, and Andy actually lost the file. We had to repaint it in kind of an all-nighter 2 nights ago. But I'm so stoked and happy, and I got to thank all you guys and everybody. It's been a fun day, and y'all keep doing what you're doing. It's so good to be back. Thank you guys.
All right. Well, before you go, we can send you on your way to go celebrate. Got all your shout outs and everything. Congratulations on the P3, man. I know you're going to be doing some celebrating tonight. Incidentally, for those that didn't know, Mark here won the second split of the last US 500 that they had before the ban. So not a bad bookend to the ban for you. You got a win to start the ban, and then coming back, a great race. I'm not sure where you finished in the US 500, but a podium here. Not so bad to bookend what we call the unnecessary ban time. But thanks for showing up. Thanks for a great race, and I think you earned yourself some celebrating. Get out there and have some fun.
Thanks, Gary. Tell Jesper and the boys I said hi.
You got it.
And that's Mark Murphy, the number 69 machine. Now, I'll tell you this much, we got our second place driver coming up, and that's going to be Craig Forsyth. 14 thousandths of a second of difference. And once again, Gary, you're going to be standing by with your second place finisher.
And if we can move him to...
Try to make sure this time he goes to the right broadcast booth. There we go. Yeah.
Craig, you got us?
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, man, it's just like nothing has ever left for you. It's just like we go to the band and you're winning before the band, and we come back from the band, and there you are at the front again. Aside from trying to do the last to first challenge, tell us about your whole race, because I know I was spotting for some guys in the US 500, and you joined us kind of late in that lead group up there. And then to jump from that race to this race. So tell us about your day, and then tell us about this race.
Yeah, it's been a long day. No, we screwed up qualifying in the US 500, but we were able to charge our way up forward. I think we ended up 8th in that, and our teammate ended up 2nd. So that worked out really well for us. And then immediately had to jump into this with practice already underway. But we had the qualifying ban, so that's one less thing we needed to practice. So it was just. Take her from the back. I mean, Jesper was also at the back, so it was just the two of us trying to work our way up and forward through the whole thing. And I mean, there's 27 guys here. It's a packed field at a track like Kentucky, so you've got to be slow and methodical and not make all the good choices and try. And most of all, keep out of any of the accidents that happened. And I mean, for the most part, it was pretty clean. We ended up having a few wrecks during the pit cycles and stuff.
Yeah, those wrecks seem to kind of fall right at the right moments for those pit stops. It didn't see it right, especially at the end. It didn't seem it was going to turn into a fuel mileage race. But as always, you seem to always have a little bit of a fuel strategy to get yourself a bunch of positions, and I think you pull that off maybe in your first stop. Was that the plan, kind of this to kind of make up spots, mass spots by doing the quick stop, or it just so happened to work out the people around you just didn't have a good stop and you're just a consummate pro?
No, it worked out. I actually I think it was on the second pit stop on pit exit. I almost looped it. I came super, super close. I think I skimmed the inside wall while trying to get back control of the car by inches. But luckily, I was able to pull out, and I think we had a caution 2 laps later, which helped bunch everyone right back up again. Otherwise, it would have changed everything because I'd lost the guys I'd been with using the draft, so I probably never would have caught up. I think at that point I was in the teens area, and I don't think I would have caught up to the lead 10 pack if not for that caution. But it worked out, and yeah, no, it was good. We got I mean, it was a good day. I'm
Dave,
tired.
I bet you are.
I am a little older, a little slower, a lot grayer.
We're all like that. At least I'm right there with you, man. Dave, you got any questions for him?
Well, I'll tell you this much. One of the most important things we saw was that charge from the back. I mean, for the top 2 guys, 23rd and 24th, we took note of how quick you made it up there in about the first 40, 50 laps to be on the top 10 cycle by the end of the first caution. So what was the real magic there to make those moves so quickly and put yourself in the conversation from that point onward?
I was really worried that that the packs were going to separate, and then I wouldn't be able to, you'd get to the front of, a backpack, but then wouldn't be able to advance at that point. So right from the green flag, it was make the moves, make passes, get it done, keep moving forward. And then as the first stint was going, I was realizing that the pack wasn't separating at all. So I think towards the end, I started slowing it down and just trying to get a couple extra laps of fuel out of it, just to make sure, because at that point, if you had a little bit of a fuel save, we were going to make it without having to do a splash at the end. And then every time the cautions came out, it was recalculating what we needed to do to skip a fuel stop or keep the pit cycle at enough that we wouldn't have to do any type of splash. That was actually, I think it was Josh that pitted, I think, the earliest of the guys that went in. And I was surprised they went in that early because based on my calculations, that meant they weren't going to be able to make it. So I wasn't, and at that point I hadn't been at the front, so I wasn't really sure how bad the fuel usage was leading. Mm-hmm. And I guess it was worse than I thought. It's just, but that was something I never got to experience because I wasn't up at the front.
He pitted early, and then when it shook out, then we went to caution almost immediately after that.
Yeah, the caution solved that right out.
Yeah, he actually came out and gapped Julian by almost 2 seconds. So the shortstop actually, which is a strategy I've seen you do at Motegi, worked out really well, at least until if you were under green, but the cautions kind of nullified it. But there were some strats there, and I always know that you're working it. I mean, I've raced with you as a teammate. I've raced against you. I just know you're working it every single lap. So congrats. I know you got some shout outs. I want you to shout out 4D because 4D is going to be sponsoring the Indy Top Split again when we start broadcasting that on Raceverse, and also the Indy Open second strength of field race when we have on Saturday. So go ahead and give your shout outs and make sure you give a good shout out there to the 4D guys.
No, that's Jim. Jim is one of the best supporters of the whole IndyCar open wheel iRacing field. I mean, he's multiple leagues, multiple guys, multiple drivers, and he's the biggest champion. And he's been, he's in the car driving as well all through this whole thing, through the dark year we just had. So yeah, I mean, the 40 guys, we've been good. Everyone at VOR. I mean, the league kept on going the entire way. I mean, that's how you really, you knew the guys that just loved driving the car, because even during the dark day, we were still in our leagues driving the cars, even though they couldn't be broadcast. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those are the guys that, those are the good guys and that you want to race in week in, week out, because they're the ones that love the car.
Well, congratulations on the near victory. Congratulations just on a great day. I mean, I had a lot of racing, but 300 laps together combined between the two plus 300 plus. So we hope to see you again next week. And I'm sure you're going to celebrate. So go have a good one.
Oh yeah, a beer is waiting. You guys have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Stay safe.
All right, so let's get.
Would be Jesper Orman up next, wouldn't it be?
Is Jesper? We got Jesper still?
Let's hope we do.
He's had he's in the Netherlands, and so he's had a long day, and I do not see him.
Don't know if he's
Unless
online.
You see him?
Well, I'll look through it, and I do not see his account is online, but I don't know if he's still in the session. I'll give him a ping. We'll try to get a word from him.
Yeah.
Does look like Julian Altano wants to talk to us as well. So if we got one other,
I will say Julian always wants to talk, but I'm sure that as one of the guys that's in charge of the series, or as the guy that's in charge of the series, he's got to be pretty thrilled on how this race turned out, especially on a day when there are two other huge competing races that have 27 people. So let's go ahead and get Julian on in here, and while you track down Jesper. And
all
there's
right. Looks
Julian.
like Julian's with us. Nice.
We're tracking down Jesper still, Julian. But hey, man, you got to be thrilled that 27 people showed up today for this race in your series.
Sorry.
And after many of them racing another 150 laps earlier today.
You guys can hear me first of all, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We
Yeah,
got you.
Yeah, I got a faulty mic, so sometimes it disconnects. But yeah, it was a great race today. A lot of cars to enter the race. It was a great race to come back from the broadcasting ban and everything that went on last year. Very happy overall about what we put on the last year or so in the league in general. Like Josh and Mauro have been helping me keep this going. Like I'll admit to everybody, in season 8, I seriously considered to just stop right there and just quit everything, because the league was doing so bad at the time. Because the broadcast ban hit right there when we were gonna start that season, I believe. But yeah, we kept going, and it's all paying off now because we had 27 great drivers here today. Including our rookie Pedro Blebo. He's a teammate of mine. I got him on because he was good on road last season. Never drove the ovals before, so I taught him a few quick things. Did an excellent job today. Was involved in one incident, which I'll have to review, but of course that will be dealt with by race control, which of course is there to keep drivers in check, so that will be done. But he did a great race.
I wasn't sure. I think I called it a. Definitely, maybe racing, but it didn't look like it was his fault, to be honest with you. So when you get a chance to review that, hopefully he's not penalized, because he was running. I think at one point he was among the leaders. So you found yourself a good one to join the team, because at one point he was up there with you guys, and it looked to me that he just in the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. So I hope that doesn't discourage him in any way.
No, I sure hope as well. Like, and I'm just super proud of him as well. And not only just of Pedro, but also the entire team. Like, they all drove a great race. Some people didn't have as much luck as maybe I did or Pedro did, but they all drove great races. John even got another top 10, so he's been improving. So yeah, everybody's done a great job today. But on Pedro one more time, I'm just so proud that I taught him to drive ovals, and he instantly gets just outside the top 5 on his first race. It's just incredible. Like, I seriously do not have words. And Gary, you know this. I don't say things that I don't think are true. Like, I'm very honest, and this was truly amazing. Like, I'm so proud of Pedro, honestly. It was just special. I guess that's the right word to put there. And so was tonight overall for the race. I mean, I'm just so thankful for you guys doing this. For Mauro, even footing the bill for these broadcasts, not only here on FTN, but also SimTV for the Super Formula League. Mauro helps me out a lot until I can pay him back with the entry fees and sponsorship. So if people are out there, they have a company, they want to get out there, whether that's on here on FTN or on SimTV for Super Formula, we have plenty of spots open for sponsorship. So if you are interested in that, you can contact me on Discord. My username is Julian Altena, as on iRacing without a space and all small letters. So you can find me through there, and we can set up a deal for a race sponsorship or multiple races, whichever works. But yeah, once again, really thankful for you guys stepping up to broadcast, and everybody that showed up today. It was just an amazing event.
Well, what's up next for next week? We got another race coming up next week.
2 weeks from now, Phoenix,
yep.
So what we've been planning on is this was Josh and I's idea about half a year ago, before Josh left his spot as staff member. But we came up with an idea that is similar to IndyCar in real life, what they've done at tracks like Iowa Speedway, for example, or even Gateway a few years ago in the pandemic. It's a double-header event, so that means there will be 2 races. But of course, we are running an online league, so we're going to be doing it on the same day, on the same night, versus 2 days in real life. So there will be a 75 lap race for Phoenix to start off that doubleheader in the day. So very hot and slick track, and then race 2 is going to be slightly longer, 100 laps at night. I think the setup that Brandon Trainer put out in the iRacing forums and what's being used in the fixed series this season, it's an amazing setup. I think it will put on a great show. In terms of short track racing, if you compare the two, I think it might even be a better race than what we saw today, if you consider those variables between the tracks as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great event. I think the drivers will love it, and so will you guys in the booth. So looking forward to it.
I don't know. Is it good Phoenix or bad Phoenix?
For you, it's bad Phoenix. For us, it's good Phoenix because it's nice and wide, grippy.
All right.
It's
We're kind of
the NASCAR bulldoze Phoenix.
we're kind of waiting for. I don't think Jesper's. Like I said, did I say he was from Netherlands? I know.
Yeah,
he's from
you
Sweden,
said he
but
was from the Netherlands, but he's from Sweden.
well, he's from Europe, and I think he's got an extra hour on you, so he's had a long day. I don't know if he's gonna show up or not, but while we're waiting, if Dave has any questions for you.
Well, I think the big question is, of course, what we're looking forward to here in FTN, the first of a brand new partnership. And I'll tell you this much, it was a thrilling race to open everything up here with the whole VOR team, putting the IR18 back on the channel and looking at some great racing as well. I know you've been, of course, a very big proponent in getting this deal together and putting us back on the map, of course, with open real racing. So what do you think's up next here as we look forward to the rest of the season? I'm very excited. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, first of all, I literally stayed up until 6 a.m. yesterday to sort out this deal last minute. So just really happy to first of all be back, but also to do it with you. All right, I saw your channel come by on YouTube, and I saw some of your leaks, and I did a race in one of them as well. IORA Cup Series. The race didn't go too well. We're not going to dive into that, but I think you do a great job on the broadcasting by yourself and getting Gary on with his IndyCar knowledge, and he's been a lifelong IndyCar nerd. So it's awesome to have him on as well. Like I really missed just speaking to him in general, but also just him being involved. Like it's great to see him back. He was kind of away, Gary. You were a little bit silent all the time.
It was depressing. It was depressing. I will give you
I
that.
can understand. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm just so glad to have you back and David to have you on as well to do this. But yeah, just all incredible. I really don't know what else to say. It's just amazing.
Certainly.
Well, thanks,
great.
Julian.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much, Gary, you're good.
No, sorry. Thanks, Julian. We'll put you back into the waiting room here as we'll go ahead and let Dave do his due diligence of the sign off. But looking forward now, 2 weeks to Bad Phoenix. Right. All right, Julian. Thanks a lot, man. Congrats on the finish as well.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be getting our race winner, as you mentioned there. Jesper Orman, though, still put on one hell of a show, winning, getting it done by only 14 one-thousandths of a second. And, before we sign off, Gary, I'd like to hear your final thoughts as we head into a new chapter here on Saturdays. Of course, first race of the night. We've still got 2 on the table. This is the first of which. How do you think it all went?
Well, Jesper won't understand the reference, but he went Babe Ruth on this race. And what I mean by that is he called a shot right before we got off talking to each other so he could get ready for this race and I could get ready for the broadcast. He goes, I will see you in victory lane. He said, I will talk to you next in victory lane. Now, unfortunately, he's not here to talk to us, but he did call a shot. He did, just like Babe Ruth did against the Cubs in the World Series, pointed to the outfield and said, I'm going to smack the ball there. He just came online and pointed to victory lane and says, I will be talking to you here very shortly. So Jesper went all Babe Ruth, called a shot, and then pulled it off by 0.014 of a second right there at the end over. We got Craig finishing second from Canada. Of course, Jesper from Sweden, and then We got Mark just up the road here from me in Indiana here. He's up in northern Indiana. So we got a Swede, a Canadian, and an American in your top three. So just kind of a glimpse of the international aspect. But we had people from all over Europe amongst the top five. We had Brazilians up there. We had Eastern Europe up there. So if you're interested in getting involved in this thing, check out VOR. I believe there might be some links in the Discord, links to the Discord possibly in the description. If not, we'll set some stuff up. But get involved, or if not, get involved in iRacing, buy the car, do some official races, get some miles under your belt, and then pop in over here. But I do like the new Phoenix. I just don't like the way that turn one is now they're under the racetrack and all this other stuff that they didn't necessarily need to do. I do like the old Phoenix with the old dog leg where you can't cut it off, but I think the rules are we won't be able to cut the dog leg like NASCAR does. That just looks ugly. But anyways, I'm looking forward to that next week in a doubleheader. Doubleheader kind of gives you a chance that if you didn't have a great first race, you can kind of reset and come back at it fresh on the second one. We had a couple of those in the past in VOR, and they do make for longer days. They can get exhausting, but if you really put on a good double header and get you a couple top 5, couple top 10s under your belt, it almost feels as good as a win when you can pull something off like that, especially with the way that we're looking at possibly 25 plus car field with everyone racing as hard as it is. So it's a pleasure to be working with you, Dave, and FTN and everyone that watched from home. Thank you very much. Make sure I always say this to my channel when you talk, but hey, make sure to like, share, subscribe to this channel. Give the love, all the love you can to Dave and FTN. Help his channel grow and help other broadcasters grow and get more people involved in IndyCar. That's a good reason to like this. That helps the algorithm, because other people looking around for IndyCar are going to come across this, see this, get them interested in IndyCar, and that's ultimately what we want to do at the end of the day. So thank you for having me. Been a great day. Looking forward here for 2 weeks and kick it off for you, man. You can close the show. It's been a great day.
2 weeks' time, you're right. We got to look forward to nights, of course, at tracks like Phoenix, double headers, and a lot to go through for the rest of the season here in the IR18 series. It's VOR, and it's back on FTN. IndyCar racing from the Kentucky Speedway, and it's been a pleasure to bring all the action to you throughout all of tonight's racing. We'd like to thank, of course, a lot of the active chatters here in our chat room tonight, including Beanman. It looks like it's also going to be Max Molina, Kenny Rio, Fathom RL, Ben Morine, Jensen Bell Racing, Leandro Silva, Average Jams, and, of course, Julian Altena coming later in the chat room. Again, we'd love to hear what you have to say, so keep that in mind and subscribe to the FTM YouTube channel for unlimited chat room access. Your feedback keeps us going night in and night out. We've got a lot of exciting action coming up in just about 2 hours' time as a Saturday Night Thunder Grand National Series takes on the Daytona International Speedway for the Grand National 200, a series opener from the high banks of the world center of racing. And this has been a thriller in its own right, so stay tuned on Saturdays for 2 FTN streams for the coming months as we look forward to bringing more of the fun to the channel here. Not only stock car racing, but the open wheel events as well. We'd also like to thank 4D Simware for their support, and of course, Julian Altena for putting things together. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing alongside Gary Godso, our IndyCar analyst, who we'd love to have back for the rest of the season. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation live on FTN, and we hope to see you whenever we're live again on FTN. Thank you all for your immense support, and we hope you have a fantastic night. This has been the Kentucky 400 kilometer.
Good night.